Chapter 133. The secret room was filled with a sour smell. Except for the energy fluctuations caused by Chow Xiao and the shallow breathing of a few people who fainted, the other sounds were made by Yen Ran knocking on the wall. Between Yen Ran and Chow Xiao, there seemed to be an invisible barrier that neither of them wanted to cross first. Yen Ran looked for a long time but couldn't find the exit. She simply gathered her spiritual power and prepared to directly destroy the wall. But at this moment, there was a rustling sound from both sides. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming shouted in the space, "Chow Xiao, there's sand coming in from both sides." Chow Xiao opened his eyes and looked. The wall really seemed to have become a fishnet with countless holes, and the fine sand formed a line of sand that was spraying out from both sides of the wall. Chow Xiao glanced at Yen Ran and found that she was staring at the sand, thinking about something. He snapped, "What are you waiting for? Why don't you just punch through the wall?" Yen Ran was also angry and stared at him. "I have my reasons for not fighting." Chow Xiao listened to Yen Ran's tone, and the grievance in his heart rose by 2 degrees. "You have your reasons for everything you do. There's so much sand, just wait for us to be buried." Yen Ran swallowed the anger in her stomach and explained to him, "We're on a mission. This place can't be destroyed at will. We're about to lose our lives. What else do you care about? Didn't you say that the people on the ground were poisoned? Are you going to let them be poisoned?" Yen Ran's tone was also angry. "Aren't I thinking of a way? Then have you thought of a way?" "No." The two of them just like this, one after another, they argued. The two of them argued, and actually understood the ins and outs of the matter. Chow Xiao knew that Yen Ran was here on a mission, and Yen Ran also knew that Chow Xiao was brought here by a totem. "You're just a little girl, yet you're already shouldering such a huge responsibility. Is your human cultivation world so heartless? Can't anyone feel sorry for you?" Chow Xiao couldn't help but complain after knowing the whole story. Yen Ran suddenly froze. She had never considered this question. She didn't even see herself as a girl. Ever since she was young, she had shouldered the mission of protecting the human world and received all kinds of training. Age was not a problem to them, and gender was not an obstacle. The responsibility was something that she had shouldered since she was young. It was already ingrained in her bones and could not be changed. Actually, when Chow Xiao said this, he said that no one else would feel sorry for her. In fact, it was his own heart that ached. As the crown prince of the devil world, he was just lying in bed and enjoying his life. He felt that cultivating was hard, but Yen Ran had to cultivate and go to school. She also had to go on these dangerous missions. He finally knew why Yen Ran often told him that she was very busy. It seemed that she was indeed very busy, and quite dangerous. The bitterness in his heart seemed to suddenly dissipate. Yen Ran was silent, and so was Chow Xiao. Chow Xiao stepped forward, took her hand, and pulled her into his arms. Yen Ran still wanted to struggle, but she was stopped by Chow Xiao. Chow Xiao gently hugged her. "I'm sorry, Yen Ran. I was wrong. I didn't know that you were working so hard and tired. I was jealous." Yen Ran relaxed her tense nerves, closed her eyes, and leaned softly on Chow Xiao's shoulder. She didn't say anything. In the dark secret room, the two people hugged each other. A kind of spiritual understanding and tacit understanding was flowing in the secret room. "You two, stop kissing each other. The sand has reached your calves." Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming saw that the two people didn't solve the problem and were still being lovey-dovey, so they shouted in the space. Chow Xiao looked down. Sure enough, the sand was flowing very fast. Now it had reached their calves. While they were talking, the people lying on the ground had already been drowned out of sight. "Yen Ran, hurry up and save them." The two hurriedly dug the fainted people out of the sand and supported them against the wall. Everyone's nostrils were blocked with some sand. Chow Xiao hurriedly helped them clean up. Finally, there was some shallow breathing, and they didn't suffocate to death. Yen Ran saw that the situation was urgent. If she didn't think of a way, these people would really be buried. She didn't hesitate. She directly used her spiritual power, and a wall fell down. Just as she guessed, there was another secret room behind the wall. But it was a secret room filled with sand, from the bottom to the top. The wall fell down with a rumble. Caught off guard, the sand in the room poured directly over the heads of the people. Even Yenran didn't expect that they would be buried directly by the sand. Not only that, along with the sand, there were some poisonous things buried in the sand, such as scorpions. Mr. Liu sat in the room at ease, feeling the spiritual power fluctuations in the formation. With the changes, he smiled knowingly. The fifth secret room had been activated. This was a tomb that he had carefully arranged. The people who entered would be buried alive. The feeling of sand entering their ears, throat, and nose must be very uncomfortable. Mr. Liu's eyes were full of pride. It was as if his masterpiece was praised by everyone. He couldn't wait to see these people's mouths and noses bleed and suffocate to death. Oh no! It might be a pile of bones. He forgot that he had added some little cuties to it. These little cuties had been hungry for a long time. Finally, they had a chance to eat a sumptuous meal. It was a pity that he couldn't see whether it was a man or a woman. "Boss, the mechanism of the fifth secret room has been activated," a subordinate reported to Yution. A bloodthirsty glint flashed in Yution's shrewd eyes. It seemed that the opponent this time was quite ruthless. They had actually broken the mechanism of the fifth secret room. Who was it? Would it be his next opponent? His previous opponent seemed to have died a long time ago. Dugu Chobai. Interesting. The sudden pile of sand caught them off guard. It was at this moment that Yenran quickly set up a barrier, separating the fourth and fifth secret rooms. But a lot of sand still hit them. At that moment, the first thing that Xiao Xiao thought of was to protect Yenran in his arms. Then, he gathered all the devil qi in his body and used his sturdy back to withstand the attack of the sand. However, the pervasive sand and poisonous insects still poured into the collar of his clothes. Yenran had sharp eyes and saw it immediately. She cried out, "There's an insect on your back." These insects dared to compete with the devil qi. As expected, the moment the insects entered Xiao Zhao's back, they were killed by the devil qi. But the insects' corpses and sand were still on his back, making him feel uncomfortable all over. "Yenran, help me take out the insects' corpses." Yenran helped Xiao Xiao pull out his clothes. She shook them up and down, and a few scorpions and unknown insects fell out. It was too disgusting. "Were you bitten?" "I don't know. Help me take a look." Xiao Xiao lifted his clothes, exposing his sexy inverted triangle back to Yenran. His smooth, white, and delicate jade-like skin glowed under the dim light. At this moment, a thin layer of sand had been spread over his back. The coarseness of the sand rubbed against his jade-like skin, instantly turning it red. Yenran carefully wiped him with his clothes, from his broad shoulders to his tight waistline. Yenran's face suddenly turned red. When she was drugging Huagang just now, she didn't feel anything at all. But Xiao Xiao seemed to have some kind of magical power that could make her blush and her heart beat faster. "Are you done?" Xiao Xiao saw that she didn't move for a long time and asked. Yenran quickly came back to her senses. "Yes, yes." She pulled down Xiao Zhao's clothes. Xiao Xiao turned around and saw Yenran's red face, as if she was a little shy. He couldn't help but be playful. "Finally get my handsomeness? Didn't you see my strong chest muscles? My tight waistline is passable?" Yenron's face turned red. You're a hooligan." The nervousness of the mission instantly disappeared. As expected, hormones were a magical thing. A divine tool to relieve stress. Xiao Xiao said with a perverted look. "Okay, let's stop joking. Now, let's think of a way to get out." Yenran also became serious. "It seems that we can't act rashly like this. If we open another secret room and it's filled with water, won't we drown? This should be a formation that we accidentally activated. We can only get out if we think of a way to break this formation." Xiao Xiao didn't react, but Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming suddenly realized. "Xiao Xiao, I know why you're here. It must be your gem. Its magnetic field is similar to this place, so it was summoned and brought you here directly." Xiao Xiao also had an idea. So you mean that the gem is related to this formation? Does it mean that it can break this formation? Kong Xiaoming began to show off. Didn't I say before that there's no formation that can't be broken, and there's no formation that can't be set up? It's such a treasure, it can do anything. Qiao Xiao looked at Kong Xiaoming's smug look and became angry. Then tell me how it can break this formation? Kong Xiaoming was speechless. There's definitely a record in the book, but isn't it lost? So you're a level 10 scammer. It's the same as not saying anything. Yanran looked at Qiao Xiao, who was staring at the bracelet in a daze. She pulled on his sleeve. What are you doing? I'm talking to the two people in the bracelet. These 2nd-century scammers are book spirits. They're always looking for broken and incomplete books. They even explain things clearly and logically. They've tricked me a few times. Qiao Xiao said, still brooding. Yanron's eyes widened. There's actually such a thing. You mean there are two people who can talk to you? Yes, then can they talk to me? That's not possible. I'm their master. They can't communicate with you. Yanran still felt that it was very magical. Qiao Xiao looked at Yanron's curious look. If you like it, I'll go back and find one for you. We have a lot of these things in the demon realm, but there aren't many of them in the human world. They can only be found by chance. I'll help you keep an eye out. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming saw that the two of them had gone off topic again. Boss, we're still in danger. Can we hurry up and get out? Then she muttered, those who don't know would think that we're on a honeymoon. Qiao Xiao heard and was stunned. Then, he thought of something and laughed foolishly. Chapter 134. Qiao Xiao patted Yanron's hand. Wait a moment, I'll think of a way. Since I was summoned here, I should be able to think of a way to break this formation. But I can't rely on those two idiots, I can only rely on myself. Yanran was extremely happy as she grabbed Qiao Xiao's hand and said, you know how to break formations. Qiao Xiao looked at Yanron's expectant eyes and his heroic spirit exploded. In front of his goddess, he absolutely couldn't drop the ball. Even if he couldn't do it, he had to do it. Believe me, I can do it. He had already bragged, the rest was really a bit difficult. Qiao Xiao sat down cross-legged. He had just advanced and hadn't had time to check his body's condition, nor had he had time to seriously study the totem's function. He had only used it as an energy stone. He didn't think that he would be forced to find a way to break the formation. Little tadpoles, cheer up and study seriously. My image in Yanron's heart will depend on you guys. Qiao Xiao ordered in his mind. The little tadpoles were ready as they took out the tattered book and began to study it. Qiao Xiao slightly narrowed his eyes as he silently chanted in his heart. He used his spiritual power to lift the blue totem into the air. The energy stone took effect and gave him the spiritual power he needed. Qiao Xiao opened his eyes and looked inside his body. He found that the golden spiritual power in his veins was flowing at high speed. Damn, why did it become golden after advancing? The golden bead in your dantian has already seeped into your veins. This is a good thing. Kong Xiaoming happily jumped around. Qiao Xiao looked at his dantian. Sure enough, the golden bead seemed to have grown countless hands and feet. At this time, it had already extended in all directions. All the veins in his body were inlaid with a golden border, and the golden bead itself was still slowly rotating in his dantian. Suddenly, a golden totem appeared above Qiao Xiao's head. It shone brightly, almost illuminating the entire secret room. The dazzling light even made Yanran close her eyes temporarily. Next to the totem, a 5-pointed golden star pattern slowly emerged. Within each peak, there were 9 small golden swords of different shapes, filling up the 5 peaks and forming a circular pattern, just like the picture in the totem. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming's eyes widened like copper bells when they saw the unbelievably bright totem and the golden lines. Yanron's mouth was also agape. Qiao Xiao, it seems that you have mastered the flying flame meteor. The small golden sword inside the totem has also come out. Look, it is the second picture in the book. Kong Xiaoming clapped his hands and shouted happily. The little tadpoles took out the broken book and looked at it. Sure enough, the totem in the second picture had changed. A circle of small golden swords filled the whole picture. The little tadpoles said, "Just now, it might have been the totem that advanced, not your flying flame meteor. No matter what kind of advancement it is, hurry up and find a way to break the formation." Qiao Xiao ordered in his mind. Yanran was influenced by the totem and felt the vigorous power in it. She also sat down cross-legged and released her spiritual sense with Qiao Xiao to explore the surroundings. The higher void stage was extraordinary. With the help of the totem's energy, Yanran could finally use her spiritual sense to penetrate the walls and feel the movements in the other secret rooms. She saw that in the fifth secret room outside the barrier, the sand was still filling up. Some of the sand had already been poured into the fourth secret room. However, at this time, the fifth secret room was filled up from the bottom to the top again. Those horrible poisonous insects were drilling in and out of the sand, faintly discernible. Some of them even saw that there was a feast here through the barrier and crawled to the edge of the barrier. Soon, the entire side of the barrier was covered with poisonous insects. They were so densely packed that it made one's hair stand on end. Yanran seemed to have seen the souls of those black insects through their bodies. It was a kind of evil, full of venom, and vowed to pull you into the endless dark abyss. Yanran released a gust of wind from her palm, which passed through the barrier and hit these black poisonous insects. Immediately, these poisonous insects were all sent flying, and their corpses slid down the barrier. However, soon, the waves behind overtook the waves in front, and another wave of poisonous insects pounced on the barrier. Yanran ignored these poisonous insects that disgusted her to death and directly passed through the fifth secret room. Yanran spread her spiritual sense further. Sure enough, as she thought, the secret rooms behind could not be broken through. There was a very large secret room that was like an underwater world. Turbid water filled the entire room. There were no water plants, no sunlight, only some unknown fish swimming around. She did not know what ingredients were added to the water, but she often saw fish killing each other. If she was not careful, there would be a ball of red blood mixed in the turbid water. She didn't know how these fish managed to survive. Yanran felt a chill run down her spine. It seemed that the rooms they had passed through couldn't be any safer. Even she, a higher void stage cultivator, was somewhat helpless when encountering such a secret room. This underwater world was very big. Yanran used her spiritual sense to pass through it. It took her a long time to really swim in it, and then she could see more bloody scenes. There were all kinds of fish inside. Yanran found that one thing in common was that they all had sharp teeth. It seemed that they were all carnivorous fish. In this underwater world where the strong preyed on the weak, in this small enclosed space, if they were trapped in this secret room, how would they deal with these hungry piranhas? Yanran continued to explore forward. She passed through the bottom of the sea and came to the next room. This was an empty room. Yanran used her spiritual sense to explore, but there was nothing. She checked every corner, but there was still nothing. She was about to pass through this room and come to the next room when suddenly a hole in the ceiling opened. A gust of wind came in from the hole. The sound became louder and louder, and gradually became deafening. Soon, it caused the effect of a landslide, and the whole room seemed to be shaking. The wind followed the hole and spun rapidly in the room. Yanran understood that this was a secret room with a tornado. She was about to pass through this secret room when she suddenly found that there was something strange in the wind. This was not a simple tornado. There were sharp blades wrapped in it. If a mouse accidentally fell into it at this time, under the destruction of the wind, the blades in the wind would dismember the mouse into pieces and eventually turn it into powder. What Yanran wanted to do most now was to make all the poisonous insects in the fifth secret room and the fish in the sixth secret room disappear in the seventh secret room. Mr. Liu, who was in the room, suddenly felt that the mechanism in his secret room was opened very quickly. He was completely using the energy waves to feel the changes in the secret room. At this time, there was a very fast energy wave that directly passed through the fourth, fifth, and sixth secret rooms to reach the seventh secret room. It seemed that this time, there was a master who was not only alive, but also passed through the rooms so quickly. For the first time, Mr. Liu regretted that there was no camera to see the scene in the array. Even if there was such a powerful master who passed through these secret rooms, at this time, he must be in a mess. He really wanted to enjoy it. There was still more for him to suffer. Mr. Liu was a little expectant. If he waited for this master at the exit, what kind of situation would it be? Yanran resolutely crossed the 7th secret room and directly entered the 8th room. As soon as her spiritual sense entered the room, she felt a burst of bright light. Yanran looked carefully and found that the room was full of mirrors. The mirrors were very high, from the bottom to the top. All the mirrors were connected together. They were placed in the whole room in a picturesque disorder, forming a passage. It seemed that this was a maze surrounded by mirrors. Yanran used her spiritual sense to create an illusory image of herself. She looked in front of the mirror, but she did not expect that the reflection was Qiao Zhao's appearance. Yanran was shocked. This was not an ordinary mirror, but a randomly generated appearance according to people's thoughts. It was too scary, using consciousness to control. What was worse? Why was she reflecting Qiao Zhao? It was as if Yanran's thoughts had been seen through. Her cold face, which was like a snow lotus on a high mountain, flushed red. She continued to explore inside with her spiritual sense. But she found that this maze was very difficult to walk, and if there was a conscious interference, it would be an infinite loop. Yanran was glad that she was using her spiritual sense to break through. She no longer delayed, bypassed this secret room along the corner, and entered the next one. Yanran was a little irritated. She did not know when this secret room would end. And each one was quite terrible. It seemed that it was not so easy for them to get out safely. She did not know how Qiao Zhao was doing. Yanran evaluated. If she was alone, it would be fine, but if she had to take a few colleagues who were in a coma with her, it would be really difficult. She came to the 9th room, which was also empty. Yanran looked around for a long time, but she didn't find anything. It should not be. It was reasonable to say that they would not be able to pass so easily. But as a spiritual sense, she was not at the scene in person. Except for the things that could be seen by touching the mechanism, some other senses could not be determined. Yanran waited for a while and found that there was still no movement, so she had to continue to move forward. In the next room, Yanran's spiritual sense went in and found that Qiao Zhao was sitting in the same place, and several colleagues were lying on the ground. It turned out that she had circled around and came back. It seemed that the exit was difficult to find. There were probably only 9 secret rooms. Yanran withdrew her spiritual sense, opened her eyes, and saw Qiao Zhao. Qiao Zhao felt a lot better after being nourished by energy during this period. He felt Yanran's gaze on him and opened his eyes. Qiao Zhao showed her an embarrassed smile. "I'm sorry, Yanran, I'm still looking for a way. Give me a little more time." Under the dim light, Qiao Zhao had thick black hair. Under a pair of sword-like eyebrows, his amorous peach blossom eyes had a seductive smile which could make people sink into it if they were not careful. His tall nose and rosy lips were rippling with a dazzling, flattering smile. Yanran did not know what to think, and her face turned red. He was really a demon. He was everywhere. Chapter 135. Yanran cleared her throat, and her cold and noble face returned to normal in an instant. Then, she told Qiao Zhao about the situation of each secret room that she had explored with her spiritual sense. The more Qiao Zhao listened, the more his eyes widened. How could there be such a thing? Then aren't we quite safe now? If we accidentally entered one of these secret rooms, wouldn't we be in a sorry state and go crazy? It's not just in a sorry state. I can protect myself, but I can't protect my colleagues. Yanran's brows were tightly knitted. Qiao Zhao couldn't bear to see Yanran so distressed. He walked forward and reached out to touch her forehead. In the past, I didn't know what was going on when you were on a mission. But today, by chance, I'm here. I'll definitely think of a way so that you won't have to face it alone. With that, he smiled slightly, sat down cross-legged, and began his crazy journey of breaking the formation. Previously, He didn't know how to break the formation because he didn't know the situation of the secret room. Now that everything was clear, Xiao Xiao ordered the little tadpoles in his mind to act quickly. When the little tadpoles heard Yanran's introduction, they automatically matched the formation in the incomplete book. Sure enough, they found the sky-raising formation, but it wasn't particularly similar. It should have been modified and upgraded by the person who set up the formation. The book didn't describe in detail how to break the sky-raising formation. There was only a simple picture. Xiao Xiao didn't have a way now. He could only rely on this simple picture to figure out how to break the formation. But now he found out why he was attracted to the fourth secret room. The main reason was that this was the eye of the formation. According to the book, it was only possible to break the formation by using the formation breaking technique at the eye of the formation. Bingo! This was it. This was simply the arrangement of the heavens. He could finally show off in front of Yanran for once. Xiao Xiao didn't hesitate anymore. He operated his totem according to the picture in the book. Countless small golden swords flew in all directions at Xiao Xiao's will. They quickly penetrated the fourth secret chamber and advanced towards the other secret chambers. The small golden sword carried a huge amount of energy. It pierced through the wall and the golden energy swept through the various mechanisms in the secret room. The living creatures in the various secret chambers seemed to have met their natural enemy and fled in all directions in fear. However, before they could react, they had already been eliminated without a trace by the small golden sword. Yanran could see the fifth secret chamber directly. She saw that the barrier was covered with poisonous insects. They retreated quickly like a tide, but they were pushed back by the sand and other poisonous insects behind them, and they pounced on the barrier again. Before they died, the poisonous insects were still carrying out their last frenzied attack and bite. All the sand was stirred up by them. However, all their struggles were useless. Soon, the black blood of the venomous insects flowed everywhere, and the entire room was filled with the stench of their corpses. Yanran used her consciousness to continue exploring the various secret chambers. The sixth secret chamber was a terrifying underwater world. Xiao Zhao's golden energy affected the entire sea. The sea rolled up a huge wave and rolled up and down in the secret chamber. The creatures inside could no longer escape. They didn't need to kill each other anymore. They were already squeezed into a pool of mud. They couldn't escape. They could only sacrifice their souls in the constant spinning and rolling. Yanran's consciousness felt very good. These hateful, evil creatures deserved to be destroyed and crushed like this. They would never be able to rise again and do evil in the human world. The sea was under the constant impact of the energy. It was desperately hitting the wall. They wanted to find an exit to escape. The sea seemed to have its own consciousness. It knew that there was danger there, and it couldn't stay any longer. So, it began to crazily leak outwards. Finally, they found an entrance. The entrance was constantly filled with seawater, but now, the entrance had become an exit. The water in the opposite direction was desperately pouring outwards. They didn't care what was going on outside. They only knew how to keep looking for their own escape. The tornado in the seventh secret room was still blowing violently, but when it came into contact with the golden dagger, it seemed to have lost its rhythm. All the wind scattered in all directions, unable to form a cohesive force, and the blades that were originally added to the wind were all fixed on the walls on all sides. Without power, it was like a gentle wind was floating around the secret chamber. As for the hole that originally released the tornado, it was also swept up by the golden energy. With a cracking sound, all the mechanisms above were broken and shattered, falling into the secret chamber. No more wind could come in. The eighth secret chamber was the golden sword's home ground. There was no need to worry at all. All the mirrors in the maze were completely destroyed by the golden sword. All the mirrors were broken, and the glass was scattered all over the floor. However, it wasn't real glass. It was unknown what kind of illusion formed the glass material. Every piece of glass lay alone on the floor, unable to cause any wind or waves. At this time, only the four lonely walls were reflected in the mirrors. There was no way to reflect a person's soul. The maze was also unraveled without being broken, revealing its original square appearance. It stretched as far as the eye could see. "Boss, it's not good. The seawater and sand in the secret chamber's mechanisms are constantly pouring out." The subordinate noticed the abnormality in the secret chamber and immediately came to report. Yution was shocked. Could it be that they broke the mechanisms of the entire secret chamber? "We don't know the situation inside yet, but there are a lot of poisonous insects and animal corpses in the seawater and sand that are pouring out. It looks very disgusting. The stench is terrible, and it's endless. It's about to fill up our reservoir. Find a way to open the reservoir and let them flow directly into the river outside. We must not flood the treasury below." "Yes, I'll do it right away." The subordinate accepted the order and left. Yution hurried to Mr. Liu's room. Mr. Liu had already sensed the movement inside the formation. He was sweating profusely as he used his own energy to resist it. Using this formation consumed a lot of his energy. There was another formation in his room. He gathered all the energy around him and locked it in an energy gem. At this time, his energy gem had already emitted a dazzling light, and there were signs of it shattering. Mr. Liu knew that he was in trouble. Could it be that his formation was about to be broken? "Impossible, I will never admit defeat." Mr. Liu fiercely bit his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood onto the energy stone that was about to split apart. The energy stone that was about to shatter instantly closed and shrank rapidly as if it had been injected with chicken blood, returning to its original complete shape. At this critical moment, Qiao Zhao's golden sword was operating very smoothly. But at this moment, he suddenly encountered a powerful force. When all the golden swords entered the 9th secret chamber from the 8th secret chamber, for some reason, it was as if they had encountered an iron wall. They could no longer use their energy to pass through. Qiao Zhao's energy also encountered a barrier because of this, and he spat out a mouthful of blood from the backlash. Yanran heard something strange and opened her eyes. Qiao Zhao actually spat out blood. She was shocked and quickly rushed forward. "How is it? What's going on? It seems like we've encountered a big obstacle. It should be the 9th secret chamber you mentioned. We can't enter. The other secret chambers have been broken. This 9th secret chamber is a little strange. When I went to explore it before, I couldn't see anything. Now that you've been blocked again, it seems that we have to be careful." As soon as Yenron's voice fell, they saw that their secret room seemed to have changed stars. All the sand, poisonous insects, and the enchantment of the 5th secret room next door disappeared. The two of them felt dizzy. Qiao Zhao shouted for Yanran and immediately pounced on her. The two of them rolled on the ground. The scene in front of them suddenly changed. They were already in an empty room. When the two of them came back to their senses, Qiao Zhao found that except for him and Yanran, the others were no longer there. "Oh no, we've been separated." Yanran quickly used her spiritual sense to probe around. When she searched around, she found that the 4th secret chamber was the same as before. A few people had fainted on the ground. Unfortunately, she and Qiao Zhao were now in the 9th secret chamber. Mr. Liu felt the strange movement in the secret chamber and laughed. "I'll let you have a taste of the ultimate challenge of the 9th secret chamber. If you can still come out, I'll admit defeat." Yution waited at the door for a long time, but Mr. Liu didn't open the door for him. At this time, he heard Mr. Liu say from the door, "Don't worry, there's something wrong with the previous secret chambers. Now they're in the 9th secret chamber. No one can break out unless they're Daluo immortals." Yution's shrewd eyes showed worry. This was the first time he had encountered such a strong opponent. He turned around and ordered his subordinates, "Take the second plan and transfer all the assets in the treasury. Be quick." The subordinate was shocked. Is Mr. Liu's formation going to be broken? It's hard to say. Be prepared and nothing will go wrong. Yanran and Qiao Zhao, who were in the 9th secret chamber, looked around vigilantly. This was an empty room. There was nothing. Yanran had also searched before, but she didn't even see a mechanism. This place was very strange. There was nothing. Qiao Zhao knocked on the surrounding walls, ceiling, and ground, but still found nothing. And there was no door or window. Could it be like the poisonous gas we encountered in the third secret chamber? The book said that every room in the Qing-Tian formation has its own special features. I've never heard of repeated mechanisms. Qiao Xiao asked the little tadpoles in his mind, what other mechanisms haven't we encountered? At this time, all the little tadpoles were retreating, only pushing the big boss to the front. The big boss gritted his teeth and said, there's no detailed record in the book, but we've analyzed it. This should be a secret chamber that confuses the mind. We don't know how it works. Qiao Xiao was a little stunned when he heard this. What did it mean to confuse the mind? Yanran, this is a secret chamber that confuses the mind. Do you know what it means? Yanran didn't answer. She just stared straight at Qiao Xiao, opened her red lips slightly, and breathed seductively. Chapter 136. Inside the sealed space, a dim and ambiguous light shone in from an unknown source, covering Yanran's face with a faint halo. Her originally white skin had a satin-like texture. A few strands of black hair fell from her hair, brushing against the corner of her mouth and extending down her neck. Yanran sat leaning against the wall with her legs half bent. Her head was slightly tilted, and her eyes were blurred. Her left hand was on the ground, and her right hand was tightly gripping the pants on her bent thighs. Just like that, she looked at Qiao Xiao without blinking. Seeing Yanran like this, Qiao Xiao didn't know why his heart suddenly beat faster. His mouth was a little dry, and his Adam's apple bobbed up and down. His right hand waved in front of Yanran's eyes, and he repeated his question. Do you know the meaning of a psychedelic mind? Yanran's eyes were bewitching, and she murmured, I don't know. Qiao Xiao, I realize that you are really quite handsome. After saying that, she reached out a hand to Qiao Xiao. Qiao Xiao was stunned. He had never seen Yanran like this. Previously, Yanran was cold and expressionless, and didn't reveal much emotion. But now, Yanran seemed to have changed her soul. Her entire aura had changed, and she was seductive and seductive. Qiao Xiao reached out to hold Yanran's hand, and then he was pulled to Yanran's side by a strong force. Qiao Xiao sat down, facing Yanran. Then Yanran directly leaned over to his face, and said, Let me see how handsome you are. Qiao Xiao didn't expect Yanran to be so proactive. At this moment, his heart was beating faster, and his palms were sweating. Looking at the beautiful face magnified in front of him, his image was gradually magnified in Yanran's bewitching eyes until it reached the limit. As a man, if he didn't do anything now, he would be letting himself down. He grasped Yanran's small hand tightly and cupped Yanran's cheek with his other hand. He then stroked the back of her neck and pulled Yanran into his arms forcefully. Yanran was pulled into his arms. Qiao Xiao's gaze gradually moved down and looked at the small face that moved his heart. Her alluring red lips were slightly open, and he encouraged himself in his heart. Kiss her. Yanran definitely won't hit me. Perhaps the light was too ambiguous, the space was too hidden, or he was too excited. Qiao Xiao closed his eyes and tilted his head, heading towards the red lips that he had been dreaming of for a long time. Feeling the softness, Qiao Xiao suddenly felt as if he had received permission. He was so excited that his lips moved forcefully, tossing and turning on the softness. His heart was beating faster and faster, and it was about to jump out of his body through his lips. He let nature take its course and opened his sexy thin lips slightly. His little tongue, which he had never tried before, ventured out. Qiao Xiao suddenly felt his mouth being covered. Why did it feel like this? Yanran seemed to be pretty bold. He then felt his head being pushed back. Opening his eyes, he saw Yanran's hand covering his mouth. Could it be that he wasn't kissing? But... Looking at Yanran's eyes that had regained their coldness, Qiao Xiao's eyes darted around, wanting to find a hole to hide in. Yanran said expressionlessly, This is what it means to hallucinate the mind. Then, she continued to explain, I don't know what method is used in this secret room, but it can hypnotize people and create hallucinations. Qiao Xiao felt uncomfortable all over and was so embarrassed that he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. He blushed and secretly looked at Yenran. I guess I was confused by the hallucination just now, that's why. You won't blame me, right? Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the space finally reacted. Just now, they saw Qiao Xiao directing and acting all by himself. Yenran was originally standing by the wall looking for a switch, but who knew that Qiao Xiao would rush up and pull Yenran's hand and kiss it with his eyes closed. Yenran was stunned by this sudden hand kiss. Other people would kiss the back of the hand, but she had never seen someone kiss the palm. It was so ambiguous and lingering, making Yenran's heart beat faster. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming reacted and laughed wantonly in the space. In the end, they laughed so hard that they rolled on the ground. Qiao Xiao saw their actions and realized that he had made a fool of himself just now. It was too embarrassing. He gritted his teeth in his mind. If you laugh again, I'll leave you here forever. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming's laughter stopped abruptly, but they still couldn't help but laugh secretly. Qiao Xiao was embarrassed and angry by their laughter. Then, he saw that Yenran seemed to be teasing him, and he felt even more embarrassed. He directly went up to Yenran and hugged her. Don't laugh at me. I couldn't help it. He dragged out the last syllable, full of coquettishness. Yenran couldn't help but laugh. Okay, I won't laugh at you. Don't fall for it again. Then, she suddenly asked, Is my palm salty? Qiao Xiao immediately covered his head and squatted on the ground. Yenran, you've learned bad things. Yenran was indeed in the virtuality stage. When she entered the secret room, she only felt dizzy for a while and then woke up. Qiao Xiao, because of his lack of concentration, fell for it for a while. Qiao Xiao was furious in his heart and was bent on getting back his face. He didn't care and directly sat down and raised the totem gem. A huge energy wave appeared in the air, and the golden ripples rippled in circles, but for some reason, the golden sword couldn't be shown. Kong Xiaoming responded in the space, Qiao Xiao, it's useless. The book doesn't say how to break this illusion array. Qiao Xiao didn't care and kept gathering all his energy on the totem gem. He wanted to turn the totem gem into a bomb and directly blow up the secret room. Yenran also used her spiritual sense to explore the surroundings. After passing through the secret room, Yenran went down this time. As she thought, her mission was underground. She saw that below this secret room was a very large underground warehouse, and rows of sealed shelves were full of boxes. The whole warehouse had nearly 10,000 boxes. At this time, a row of security guards were moving the boxes out. Yenran wanted to see more clearly, but this way was too spiritual. She could only make a rough judgment based on the energy fluctuation. It was consistent with the news she had received before. It seemed that someone wanted to transfer the stolen goods. Time was running out. Qiao Zhao's energy was getting more and more. The totem gem was constantly rotating in the air. The energy was like a sealed box, like a can that was about to explode, but it couldn't find an exit. The air in the space was being squeezed and deformed. Yenran shouted, Qiao Xiao, stop. You can't do this. The secret room will explode. But she didn't expect that Qiao Xiao couldn't stop at this time. The huge energy had affected his mood. The biggest danger of this secret room was that it could control people's minds. With Qiao Zhao's mood fluctuating, the illusion of the entire secret room broke out to the extreme. Yenran only felt a buzzing sound in her head, and then it was as if she had floated into a nothingness. Her head was a little dizzy. When she was really awake, she found herself watching a little girl cultivate in the air. An old man beside her was desperately instilling in her, you have to cultivate your skills to protect humanity. The little girl was very young, but she was very hard-working. No matter how difficult it was, she would grit her teeth and endure it. The summer was hot, and the winter was cold. She didn't rest for a day. As she slowly grew up, her skills became stronger and stronger. Finally, one day she could go out on a mission. She completed her first mission and received her grandfather's praise. She never complained about hardships or tiredness. In the end, she was too precocious and too cold. It was a kind of indifference to life and death. She finally became a successful cultivator and a god in the cultivation world. She was too perfect and was worshipped by the cultivation world. Until one day, she failed a mission and caused a lot of damage to humanity. This was unacceptable to the people in the cultivation world, and it also greatly damaged her image. Because of this failure, she paid a painful price. She lost the spiritual power she had cultivated since she was young and became a waste. The moment she fell from the altar, no one in the cultivation world was willing to catch her. Instead, they saw her as a disgrace to the cultivation world. At this time, the little girl was in great pain and didn't know what to do. When she was abandoned by everyone, she jumped down the abyss. Yenran was already in tears. That was her own reflection. When the little girl jumped down, she crazily shouted, "No!" She ran behind the little girl and wanted to pull her back, but she didn't succeed. Yenran also fell down the cliff together with the little girl. Qiao Xiao had been fighting with the totem all this time. He gritted his teeth. For the sake of his face, he must pick up his face from the ground. The fire in his heart couldn't be extinguished. Now that the book didn't record how to break this illusion array, couldn't he rely on himself? The little tadpoles showed the broken pages of the book over and over again in his mind. There were a few half-words as hints to break the array. One was a strange ear, and the other was a strange hand shape. The way to break the array was really strange. It was like a child's play. It could even be called an unbreakable array. Qiao Xiao was speechless. He fought against the energy and couldn't let himself fall into the illusion again. At the same time, he was thinking about how to break the array in his mind. What did it mean to only have one hand? Qiao Xiao thought of his illusion just now. It must be his own thoughts that gave the illusion an opportunity. It was really embarrassing. His little thoughts were seen by Yenran. How did he come out later? Qiao Xiao thought for a long time. It seemed that Yenran pushed him to wake him up. In other words, there needed to be an external force to remind the person who fell into the illusion at that time. So how could he break it now? Where could he find an external force? Qiao Xiao opened his eyes and wanted to discuss with Yenran, but the scene in front of him made his teeth crack. A gap suddenly appeared in the secret room, and Yenran seemed to be in a daze. She cried and was about to jump down. Qiao Xiao no longer cared about the totem above his head. Magic burst out. He jumped and grabbed Yenran's arm that was about to disappear into the gap. Then he turned back and directly hit the totem with Yenran. At this time, the totem deviated from its original track due to the impact of the external force and flew to the sidewall. The huge collision of energy made the whole secret room burst into a dazzling light, and the generated energy directly destroyed this floor and the floor below. The vault and the security guards who were moving things had nowhere to escape. Under the irresistible pressure, they were directly buried alive. The secret room was broken. Chapter 137. The earth quaked and the mountains shook, as if a building was about to collapse and a floodgate was opened. The energy from the secret room was overwhelming and rushed to the whole street unstoppably. In the middle of the night, many residents felt the earth quaking and the mountains shaking. They woke up from their sleep and ran out of their homes. Socks, shoes, and clothes were thrown on their bodies. Some of them were even barefoot. They were not afraid of scratching their feet on the rough ground. At this moment, life was more important than anything else. Just like that, their cold feet stepped on the equally cold cement ground. Everyone thought it was an earthquake. They quickly ran out of the building, only to find that the area where the Golden Age was located was shaking up and down. Soon, the 4-story building collapsed. Fortunately, the guests on the upper floors had been evacuated. At this time, only some security guards, Mr. Liu, and Yu Tian were left to guard. When the formation was broken, the energy stone in Mr. Liu's room broke and turned into powder in an instant after the last flash of lightning burst out. Mr. Liu opened his mouth in disbelief and reached out to grab the energy stone. However, a gust of wind blew the powder away from his palm. Mr. Liu's mind was torn apart. His blind faith in the heaven-raising formation collapsed in an instant. He roared like a madman from his throat. Then the floor of the room he was in began to shatter. The load-bearing walls of the building could no longer bear the pressure and fell down in a crooked manner. The sound of the collapsing walls pulled Mr. Liu back to reality from the collapse. At the critical moment, he quickly ran to the next room, grabbed Yu Tian's arm, and jumped out of the window with him. Yu Tian was his bread and butter. He couldn't lose him accidentally. He had to save those who needed to be saved. As for the others, he couldn't do anything about them. Yu Tian watched in disbelief as the golden age he had been managing for decades turned into nothing in an instant. "Mr. Liu, what's going on? Did they break your formation?" Yu Tian asked with a trembling voice. Mr. Liu said sorrowfully, "I didn't expect that this ancient killing formation would actually be broken. Now run away quickly. Save your life first. If you're caught by the group of people below, you'll die without a burial place. They're too powerful." When Mr. Liu said this, there was a look of horror in his eyes. Fear was contagious. Even if Yu Tian's heart was bleeding right now, the wealth that he had managed for so many years had been destroyed just like that. It was as if a piece of flesh had been directly dug out from his heart. What could he use to fill the bloody wound? He took one last look at Golden Age, which had already been torn apart. The large golden signboard had been broken into several pieces from the middle, and now it was crushed under the broken wall like garbage. He had more important things to do now. He had to explain to his investors why they couldn't deliver the goods on time. Was he going to spend the rest of his life being hunted down? As long as I, Yu Tian, am alive, this hatred must be avenged. Mr. Liu and Yu Tian disappeared into the darkness with a few leaps. The other security guards were carrying Huagang and the others to the lobby on the first floor when they suddenly felt that something was wrong. They immediately carried them to the street. The subsequent collapse of the house made them panic. Seeing that their boss had disappeared, several security guards quickly left the scene, leaving Huagang and the others on the side of the road. Yanran and Xiao Xiao were directly thrown out of the house by the huge energy. As soon as they left the secret room, Yanran's mind gradually became clear. At this time, Xiao Xiao was flying in the air with her. Yanran watched the whole building of Golden Age fall apart. It was a failure. She didn't have time to wipe her tears. She quickly released her spiritual sense, wanting to explore the situation of the underground vault. However, she didn't feel anything except the falling steel and cement and the security guards who were crushed. She quickly landed, and without saying anything, she was ready to rush in again. Xiao Xiao pulled her. "Yanran, what are you doing? That place has collapsed. Huagang and the others are still inside," Yanran said anxiously. Xiao Xiao was stunned for a moment. He had completely forgotten about the existence of those people. He could only watch as Yanran flew in. He gritted his teeth, stomped his feet, and flew in after her. However, it was too chaotic inside. The collapse was still continuing. Private Room 365, which had entered the underground passage, had long disappeared. At this time, Yanran no longer hid her strength. Saving people was more important. She quickly moved the stones away, preparing to go underground. She knew that time was life. Only by finding them one step earlier could they have a chance to live. When Yanran finally arrived at the underground secret room after going through all the hardships, she saw that the scene inside had already changed. All the illusions were gone, and even Huagang and the others had disappeared. Yanran sat on the ground in a daze. She covered her face with her hands. The tears on her face made her skin slightly rough. What had happened in the illusion just now was like a curse in reality. The mission had failed. Her comrades were missing. At this time, Xiao Xiao gently came behind her and patted her shoulder. "Yanran, hurry up and leave here. It's too dangerous here." At this time, Yanran suddenly shouted at Xiao Xiao. "I told you that this place can't be bombed. If it could be bombed, I would have bombed it. Now what? The mission has completely failed." Xiao Xiao was stunned by Yanran's shout. At that time, he was only anxious to save Yanran. He didn't expect such a result. Xiao Xiao didn't know what to say. It seemed that he had done something wrong again. He was about to explain something when suddenly, from the corner of his eyes, there was a thick cement pillar above his head that was about to smash Yenran's head. At this time, Qiao Xiao reacted. He directly used the devil's qi to fly up and threw Yenran to the ground. The huge pillar directly hit his back. Even with the devil's qi protecting his body, he couldn't withstand such a sudden weight. Qiao Xiao was hit a little hard and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Yenran couldn't hesitate anymore. She had to quickly take Qiao Xiao and fly out of the collapsed house. As soon as she arrived at the street, she saw a group of people lying on the ground. Yenran glanced at the resolute faces and the unconscious state. It seemed to be Hua Gang and the others. Yenran was overjoyed. Finally, there was a trace of comfort. She quickly contacted people and sent Hua Gang and Qiao Xiao to the hospital. This tense and extremely dangerous night was finally over. Early the next morning, the accident of the Golden Years hit like a flood. The overwhelming news reports dug up many unknown reports. Because the scene needed rescue, many people from the fire department and the news media came. The various excavated valuables could no longer be hidden. They were laid bare in front of the eyes of the public. The onlookers at the scene took out their phones to record the rescue process. First, they were worried about the people under the rubble. Second, they were shocked by the valuables excavated from the scene. After the earthquake, like for the firefighters at the scene, like for the people who donated the excavation equipment. Little Pine Tree, it said that many people were crushed to death. The scene is too horrible to look at. A green leaf willing to be a safflower. It's an eye-opener. I've never seen so much money. Can a nightclub make so much money? Is it a legitimate business? A skyscraper breaking the sky. We have to investigate thoroughly. A nightclub can actually make so much money. They're exploiting the people. The public opinion on the internet couldn't be stopped. In the office of a government official, the computer screen was picked up and then slammed against the wall with great force. The secretary was startled. He came in and asked, "What's going on?" "Get me Elder Yan's call immediately." The speaker's eyes were red. He was breathing heavily. His 10 fingers were clenched into fists, and he hit the table with a bang. "Hello, Minister Tian. What can I do for you?" Elder Yan's voice came from the phone. "What can I do for you? Everything is screwed up by you. Is this how you so-called cultivators do things? Look at how the news is reporting now. There's a lot of scolding on the internet. I'm about to step down because of you." Department head Tian scolded Elder Yen to his face. Hearing this, Elder Yen was stunned. He slept well at night and believed that Yenron's mission would never fail. He didn't expect that the first person to call him was Minister Tian, the person who appointed this mission, before he had time to watch the news in the morning. "Did something happen?" Elder Yen asked carefully. "Don't you know whether something happened or not? How much loss did the failure of these missions bring to the country? Shouldn't the benefits of you cultivators come to an end? We've given you enough privileges. How could you make the mission like this? Think about how to finish it. If you don't finish it well, all the privileges will be taken away." Then the phone was hung up. The sound of the phone being thrown down shocked Elder Yan's ears. He quickly took the phone away. He called in his housekeeper and showed me the news this morning. He saw the news of the destruction of the Golden Years on TV and some comments on the internet. He knew that Yenron's mission had failed. Something big had happened. It was related to the honor and privileges of the entire southern aristocratic family. After figuring out the ins and outs of the matter, he called Yenran at once. "Master, you don't need to call. Miss Yenran is waiting for you in the living room." The housekeeper came to report. Elder Yen came to the living room with a gloomy face. He was as black as the bottom of a pot. As soon as he saw Yenran, he slapped her. Yenran knelt down with a flop. Blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. I failed the mission." "Do you think it's enough to just say sorry? Do you know how much loss you've caused to the world of cultivators?" Elder Yen flew into a rage. He could completely understand Minister Tian's feelings. At this time, he even wanted to kill Yenran. It was the first time that Yen Ran saw her grandpa so angry at her. She regretted it and had nothing to say. Mission failure was mission failure. She could only bow her head and apologize. Chapter 138. The big living room had been smashed into pieces by Senior Yan's fury. No one could bear the fury of a divine false realm cultivator. How could anyone survive his fury? Senior Yen was furious. Yenran was hit by his wakan and flew to the wall of the living room. I trained you for so many years. Is this how you repay me? Don't you know the importance of this task? If you failed, you could retreat safely and we could figure out another way. But you actually destroyed the entire house? Are you worthy of the trust one gave you? Yenran had nothing to say. She couldn't defend herself. The situation was very critical at that time. Qiao Xiao had to save her. Grandpa, the enemy is too powerful. They set up the sky-supporting formation. We all fell into their trap. That's because you're not good enough. Go and receive your punishment. You know the rules of the cultivation world. Senior Yen drove her away directly. Yen Ran came out of her grandpa's house and rested for a while at the door. She suppressed the blood in her chest and went directly to the disciplinary hall of the southern aristocratic family. The disciplinary hall was in a manor in the back of the mountain. It looked very shabby, but some details of the house showed its original glory. The heavy door squeaked when it was pushed open. The weeds in the yard had spread over the original flowers. It was obvious that no one had taken care of it seriously for a long time. At the entrance of the manor, 2 people were playing cards out of boredom. Wisps of yellow gas were emitted from the top of their heads, and they were complaining as they played. What's there to look after in such a shabby place? There's nothing inside. It's a waste of my time. 1 against 2. It's not like they don't pay you. The work here is so easy and comfortable. A pair of kings. If it were in the downtown area, I'd love it. But it's in the wilderness. There's not even a shadow. That's so frustrating. 1 against 3. They asked you to look after the courtyard and cultivate here. The people of the discipline hall have to have some skills. 1 against 10. With my talent, I've been diluted long ago. 1 against K. You say that we cultivators are supposed to protect humans, but now that the human system is very complete, what do they still need us for? That's what you say, but isn't it to fight for some of your privileges among humans? It was easy to get things done with special privileges. 1, 2. I don't think there are many families like the ancient martial arts families in the past. They are so noble and great, and their abilities are so dazzling. Ha, big ghost, I won. As the 2 of them chatted, they suddenly saw a cold beauty walk in from the door. Both of them were shocked. The person who came was Yen Ran. Not even one would come in a year. This is a private residence. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. Yen Ran said expressionlessly, I'm here to be punished. Both of their eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets. In all these years, no one had really come here to be punished. Miss, you're too honest. This place isn't finished just because you said so. I know, I made a big mistake, so I should be punished. Yen Ran continued expressionlessly. The 2 gatekeepers couldn't help but become serious. Although they were from the discipline hall of the cultivation world, there were very few people who really followed the rules like this. Miss, you have to be mentally prepared. The punishment here is very painful. I know. I'm receiving a first-degree punishment. The 2 of them widened their eyes. First-degree punishment? Could this cold-looking little girl bear it? Are you sure you've thought it through? The 2 of them confirmed again. I've thought it through. If I don't come out in 3 days, then you can directly report to Elder Yen of the Nangong family. The 2 of them widened their eyes and watched Yen Ran walk through the heavy iron door. The hospital was noisy. After Qiao Xiao and Hua Gang were sent to the hospital, Yen Ran left. Qiao Zhao's injuries weren't too serious. After all, he had the devil chi protecting his body. When the beam hit him, it also caused his qi and blood to surge. Therefore, he was discharged after 2 days. He called Yen Ran, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get through. This time, Yen Ran's mission had failed. He didn't know how she would end up. He once again came to the scene of the golden years, but the scene here had changed. The buildings at the scene were still collapsed like before. Rescue equipment, excavators, and firefighters were still at the scene. However, what made Xiao Xiao feel strange was that in one night, all the treasures in the underground vault seemed to have disappeared into thin air. He heard the discussions of the surrounding people. The surrounding residents felt as if they had entered a fantasy world. 2 days ago, they clearly saw a huge treasure vault below. How could it disappear so quickly? Xiao Xiao guessed that someone must have cleaned up the scene to make up for the impact of this incident. But why couldn't he get in touch with Yen Ran? "Hi, Xiao Xiao." A clear female voice came from behind. Xiao Xiao turned around. It was Yi Xuanfei. What a coincidence. We are fated to meet. Xiao Xiao rubbed her nose. It was quite fated that they could meet here. Yi Xuanfei came over after seeing the news. She had been here for the past 2 days. She wanted to know what happened to Yen Ran and the rest. However, it seemed that there was some trouble. The entire golden years had closed down. This was definitely not the result of the mission that Yen Ran and the rest wanted. She went back and told Old Master Yi about this. Old Master Yi smiled mysteriously. It seems that the southern aristocratic family is in trouble. This is a good opportunity for us. Yi Xuanfei took out her phone as if she was presenting a treasure. Grandpa, I followed them on this mission and made a big discovery. Look, this is the video I recorded. After watching the video, Old Master Yi said, "Ha ha ha, the heavens are on my side. This thorn in your side is going to be unlucky." Yi Xuanfei was proud. She had been at the scene for 2 days in a row. She felt that the magpies around her were happy to see her. What a coincidence, she had met her dream guy. "Xiao Xiao, let's go eat together." Yi Xuanfei blinked her big beautiful eyes and twisted her small waist as she said to Xiao Xiao. At this moment, the sapphire star on Yi Xuanfei's belly button lit up. Xiao Xiao recognized it at a glance. This was the model of his totem. Xiao Xiao had already hung his totem on his chest. It was glowing faintly. Xiao Xiao quickly covered his chest with his hand. He didn't want Yi Xuanfei to know that he had such a treasure. Otherwise, he didn't know how much trouble it would cause. At this moment, he suddenly heard Kong Xiaoming say in his mind, "Go eat with her. She should have a book on the demon sky array." Xiao Xiao thought about it and agreed. If Yi Xuanfei had this gem and she was Zixuan, she should know the secret of this gem. Maybe it was just as Kong Xiaoming said, that he had another book on the demon sky array. Thinking of this, Xiao Xiao suddenly revealed a big smile. In Yi Xuanfei's eyes, the whole sky lit up. "Let's go, I'll treat you to a meal." Yi Xuanfei was overjoyed. She didn't expect Xiao Xiao to agree. She threw her original mission to the back of her mind and was directly attracted by Xiao Xiao's smile. Xiao Xiao had this kind of charm. If he wanted to make the guests who were having dinner with him happy, he only needed to move his fingers and take the initiative to tell a few jokes. Naturally, the other girls would fall at his feet. Yi Xuanfei looked mature on the surface and there were many boys chasing after her. However, they all knew her identity and were low level in terms of words and pursuit. Suddenly meeting such a high-level Xiao Xiao, Yi Xuanfei immediately laid down her arms and surrendered. During dinner, under Xiao Xiao's charming eyes, seductive smile, and affectionate gaze, Yi Xuanfei told Xiao Xiao everything about her family, except for the fact that she was a cultivator. But it was already revealed between the lines. When she drank an entire bottle of red wine, she was already a little dizzy. Finally, she told him the origin of the little blue star. It was a treasure passed down in their family. It could be used to set up arrays and also to break arrays. There were many secret manuals like this in their family. Xiao Xiao showed great interest. He told Yi Xuanfei that he wanted to worship this ancient book. In exchange, He was also prepared to bring an ancient book to Yi Xuanfei. According to Qiao Xiao, this ancient book was the family treasure and would only be passed down to the direct descendants of the family. He was only willing to take it out because of Yi Xuanfei. If it was someone else, they wouldn't even have a chance. Under Qiao Zhao's sweet words, Yi Xuanfei could no longer resist Qiao Zhao's gentle attacks. She immediately agreed that she would bring it to Qiao Xiao next time. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming gave each other a thumbs up in the space. Qiao Xiao, you were born to be an actor. And you would definitely be a top star. Your acting skills were superb. Indeed, as long as Qiao Zhao's eyes moved, the starry night sky would appear in front of him. As long as Qiao Zhao's lips curved, Yi Xuanfei's soul would be hooked. As long as Qiao Zhao's finger moved, Yi Xuanfei would wish that he could become the air around his finger. As long as Qiao Zhao's tongue licked, Yi Xuanfei would wish that she could replace the rice at the corner of his mouth. Finally, the meal was over. Both the guests and the host enjoyed themselves. Qiao Xiao gentlemanly sent Yi Xuanfei home. On the way home, Kong Xiaoming couldn't hold it in anymore. Qiao Xiao, did you realize that Yi Xuanfei is especially attracted to you? Her eyes are completely glued to you. Don't you feel uncomfortable? The more Kong Xiaoming looked, the more he felt that something was wrong. Qiao Xiao stopped smiling. Could it be that I've seduced her too much? Kong Ming frowned. It should be because of the male and female totems between the two of you. This girl is obsessed with you. There are too many people who are obsessed with me. She's not one of them. This kind of obsession is not simple. You have to be careful. Didn't you guys dig a hole for me to find that skyscraper array book? What should I do now? Kong Xiaoming shrunk his head. He thought embarrassedly, Qiao Xiao, you're too charming. Who knew that you could charm her to this extent? Qiao Xiao also had a headache. Forget it, forget it. We'll ignore her after we get that skyscraper array book. Otherwise, Yanran will be angry. Chapter 139. Yanran walked through the door. The door was heavy as if it was made of gold. It slowly closed behind Yanran, isolating all the disturbances outside. This place looked like a room, but it was more like a torture room. There were all kinds of mechanisms inside, so there was no need for someone to carry out the punishment. As long as one walked to the corresponding position, the punishment would fall. Yanran looked at the rusty torture instrument. The blood on it had already dried up, and the dust had already accumulated more than an inch. The cobwebs in the room were swaying in the air due to the wind brought by the iron door. In the end, should she be happy that no one came to receive the punishment, or should she be disappointed? After generations of inheritance, the current southern aristocratic family had changed. Yanran expressionlessly looked at the row of torture instruments. She had to endure the torture of 3 torture instruments for a total of 6 hours. She first walked to the side of a chair and pressed her hands on a crystal ball-like shelf. The crystal ball began to spin, slowly extending a silver halo, firmly binding Yanran from head to toe. Yanran felt that she could still move her hands and feet, but her spiritual power was locked. She knew that the most difficult thing to endure when being punished was not having the support of spiritual power. She had to be like an ordinary person to feel the pain. Then, she walked to the first shelf, which was made of iron. A thick iron pillar stood erect, taller than Yanran's head. The horizontal pillar was just an inch above her shoulder. Yanran stood on it. She needed to stand on tiptoe to reach the horizontal pillar. She opened her hands and pressed a mechanism on the side. Immediately, her wrists were locked by 2 iron rings on the horizontal pillar. Then, in front of her, a leather whip like iron lashed out at her back. Yanran was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood from the whip. At this time, it could not be stopped. The mechanism could not be changed. Whip after whip lashed out at Yanran's back. Yanran bit her lips and endured the whipping. Her back was burning with pain from the whipping. Soon, the clothes on her back were ripped open and the whip landed directly on her flesh. Yanran gritted her teeth and endured the pain. Her head was already covered in sweat and her clothes were drenched in sweat. Blood was gradually seeping out of her back. Yenran's little white steam bun was locked in the crystal ball at this moment. Seeing its owner being punished like this, it immediately burst into tears. Yenran struggled to open her eyes. She glanced at her spiritual power in the crystal ball and weakly closed her eyes again. The whipping lasted for nearly 2 hours. In the end, Yenran could no longer feel the pain. The numbness on her back made her a little absent-minded. She recalled the hard training she used to do when she was a child. She had felt the same way before, but at that time, there was a belief supporting her. No matter how hard it was, she was still the protector of the human world. This was the responsibility on her shoulders. Now, it was this belief that was supporting her. It was supporting her to endure, supporting her to pay the price for her mistakes. 2 hours later, Yenran walked down from the torture device and came to the second torture bed. She could only lie down now because her back could not touch any foreign objects. She stretched her fingers forward and put them into a condom. There was a nail in the condom. She put it into her fingers and tightened it. A piercing pain attacked Yenran's nerves. The 10 fingers were connected to the heart. Every time she tightened it, it was like torture. Every 10 minutes, the nail would automatically tighten, and the tightening time was 1 minute. In order to resist the piercing pain, Yenran could only adjust her breathing. Every time the nail tightened, Yenran was like a fish out of water. She took in big breaths and contracted all the strength in her body to resist the pain from her fingers. Yenran felt that her fingers were obviously swollen, but she did not give up. Now, she could not escape. Once the punishment was started, it could not be stopped. Her little white steam bun had no tears in her eyes. She looked at Yenran blankly. She watched her master curl up into the shape of a shrimp on the bed. She kept twitching. Every time she twitched, the little white steam bun would tremble. It was as if the nail was also clamped on her fingers. Soon, Yenran fainted from the pain. This was a good thing for her. Once she fainted, she would not feel the pain anymore. However, she did not faint for too long. At most, 15 minutes later, she was woken up by the pain. Over and over, the cycle repeated. Little white steam bun was very distressed. When would this end? The 2-hour punishment finally ended. Yenran had completely fainted. After 2 days of rest, Xiao Xiao returned to school. However, Yenran still did not come to school. Xiao Xiao could not help but worry. However, he did not know who to ask. At this moment, he realized that he knew nothing about Yenran's family and social circle. The only person he knew was the Hua gang that he hated. "Hello, Xiao Xiao." After class, a clear female voice came from the door. Xiao Xiao looked up. The flirtatious Yi Xuanfei had finally changed her outfit. She was no longer wearing a short dress that exposed her navel. Instead, she was wearing her school uniform. At this moment, she was standing by the window. The window covered the area below her waist. She smiled brightly and waved at Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao walked out of the classroom and saw Yi Xuanfei's entire body. F***CK. He had come to a conclusion too early. This flirtatious girl still could not change her flirtatious nature. She was wearing her school uniform that exposed her navel. She tied the hem of her school uniform into a knot at her waist, revealing her beautiful navel ring. The school uniform skirt below was indeed proper. However, what was with the stockings and the 2 garters that extended down to her thighs? Xiao Xiao retracted his gaze from Yi Xuanfei's garter belts, but his gaze pleased Yi Xuanfei. She swung her wavy hair proudly. A burst of rose fragrance wafted into Xiao Xiao's nose. Xiao Xiao really wanted to sneeze. He suddenly remembered that Li Shan had used her hair to seduce him. The lesson from the past made him take a step back immediately. Yenran's lavender fragrance was still the best. Yi Xuanfei saw Xiao Xiao's reaction and thought that he was shy. She pursed her lips and smiled at him. "Brother Xiao, I've found the book you wanted. Let's go look at it together after school, okay?" Qiao Xiao was overjoyed when he heard that Yi Xuanfei had found the skyscraper he wanted so quickly. However, he did not show it on his face. "I didn't bring the book I wanted to lend to you. Why don't we exchange it after I get it tomorrow?" Yi Xuanfei quickly waved her hand. It's okay. You can bring it to me any time. This book is a little special. Because it's our family heirloom, my grandfather keeps a close eye on it. I can only take it out for you to take a look. I still have to bring it back tonight. I want to go with you this afternoon. Is that all right?" Yi Xuanfei blinked her big eyes in anticipation, trying to wink her way into Qiao Qiao's heart. Qiao Xiao was just an excuse. At this moment, he went with the flow and smiled brightly. "Okay, let's go together after school." Yi Xuanfei walked away, satisfied. Qiao Xiao immediately began to give orders to the tadpoles in his mind. The mission this afternoon can only be a success, not a failure. He will read page by page seriously, and what we need is the ability of the tadpoles to remember everything they see. Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming were also prepared. They had to absorb all the content of the skyscraper formation. They could not always be half-baked and cause Qiao Xiao to make a big mistake. Yanran was unconscious until night time. When she woke up again, the only window in the room was already empty. The dim moonlight did not seep in much through the window. At this moment, Yanran's face was as pale as a ghost. Her whole body was in pain, especially her back and fingers. They were burning like needles, reminding Yanran of the torture she had gone through. She was willing to do all this. There was only one last torture. She had to grit her teeth and endure it. She climbed down from the bed. Her movement stirred up a layer of dust. Yanran, who loved cleanliness the most, was in such a sorry state that she could not care less about it. She walked towards the third torture device. It was a rope around her neck. She had never seen this torture device before. She did not know what it was, but there was a diagram beside the device. It meant to put the rope around a person's neck. Yanran sat there unflinchingly and put the rope around her neck. The mechanism was activated. The rope suddenly shrank. Yanran was suddenly choked and could not breathe. Soon, she felt a suffocating pain. She could not help but want to grab the rope around her neck with both hands. However, because of the torture just now, her fingers were too swollen and had no strength at all. When she trembled and touched the rope around her neck, her whole head was filled with blood. Yanran felt that her face was swollen like a balloon that was about to burst. Her hands did not have the strength to grab it. She could not see or hear. When Yanran finally could not hold on any longer, the rope finally loosened. Yanran immediately broke free. She felt nauseous, but her vision and hearing immediately recovered. She gasped for breath. However, just 10 minutes later, the rope began to shrink again. 2 hours and 120 minutes. One time every 10 minutes. She had to endure the torture 12 times. Fortunately, I just need to endure another 11 times and it will be over. Yanran said in her heart. Every time she suffocated, Yanran felt the taste of death. This taste made her forget the pain on her back and the swelling on her hands. However, what was more painful was the hoarseness in her neck. Her neck was almost broken. Her head and upper body were in a state of separation. The torture of suffocation made Yanran want to just die every time. However, the unwillingness in her heart supported her belief to live. There were still people in this world that she cared about. Her grandfather, her brother, her parents. A handsome and roguish smile appeared in front of Yanran's eyes. Yanran, do you see how handsome I am? From now on, I will not do anything you don't like. I will stay away from people you don't like. You are my goddess. I can't bear to make you unhappy. This should be one of her worries as well. Chapter 140. Just as Yanran was being punished, a handsome couple walked out of the school gate. It was Qiao Xiao and Yi Xuanfei. They were on their way to the cafe. Yi Xuanfei spoke excitedly along the way. Chow Xiao listened absent-mindedly and occasionally responded with a smile. Chow Xiao was as bright as a spring flower in Yi Xuanfei's eyes. He didn't need to say anything, he just needed to be by her side. Chow Xiao was a little uneasy because he couldn't contact Yanran. He, come back to your senses. What is Chow Xiao thinking about? Yi Xuanfei jumped in front of Chow Xiao and blocked his path. She waved her hand in front of his eyes. Chow Xiao's thoughts were interrupted. He stopped in his tracks and smiled embarrassedly. I was thinking about something just now. What are you talking about? I'm talking to you. The hip-hop finals are in my hometown. I'll bring you there to have fun. Oh, the location of the finals is out? Isn't it in Nanchuan? Chow Xiao was a little surprised. He didn't expect the finals to be so far away. Yes, this finals is more sensational than any of the previous ones. That's why they found the most prosperous city in the East. They want to attract the attention of the whole country and even the whole world. Oh. Chow Xiao didn't feel anything. It was the same to him. He would definitely be the champion. But Yi Xuanfei was different. The competition in her hometown was equivalent to her home ground. She would definitely be the champion. But with Chow Xiao as a competitor, she had more extravagant hopes. Do you think the two of us should team up and win the championship? Yi Xuanfei blinked her big eyes. Chow Xiao was about to agree when he suddenly remembered Yanran's unhappy look. He immediately changed his tone and said, We'll see the competition rules. Let's go and have coffee first. Everything Chow Xiao said was good. Everything he said was right. Yi Xuanfei felt that this was the feeling of first love. Her heart was filled with him. After the two of them sat down at the cafe, Yi Xuanfei took out her family heirloom and handed it to Chow Xiao. Chow Xiao, this is my family's ancient book. Take a look. Chow Xiao took the book and took a look. It was obviously a handwritten copy. On the cover were the words, Demonic Sky Array, which was exactly what he needed. Kong Xiaoming jumped up and down. That's great. It should be a handwritten copy of our original book. Chow Xiao didn't show any surprise on his face. Instead, he said to Yi Xuanfei, This thin book is your family heirloom? Yi Xuanfei looked at Chow Xiao in disdain and hurriedly explained, Don't think that he copied this book by hand. It's very useful. What is this? It's so crudely drawn. I can't understand it at all. Chow Xiao pretended to be disgusted. He flipped through the book page by page. The little tadpoles in his mind quickly moved all the contents of the book into the room. The book was actually very complete. The missing pages and missing words had finally been filled in. Chow Xiao could feel the excitement of the little tadpoles in his mind and the trembling of Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming in the space. Even the blue totem on his chest started to sway slightly. Chow Xiao pressed his chest and stopped the totem from moving. He finished reading very quickly. After getting the confirmation from the little tadpoles, he returned the book to Yi Xuanfei. I'm sorry. Maybe this book is too profound. I can't understand it at all. Yi Xuanfei had expected this result. As long as one wasn't a cultivator or someone who studied arrays, this book was useless. To her, this was a treasure. But to an ordinary person like Chow Xiao, it was really an insignificant object. This was also something that Yi Xuanfei could show off to Chow Xiao. She needed to show off her abilities to make Chow Xiao acknowledge her and worship her. She took the book and put it away properly. She smiled at Chow Xiao and said, It's okay if you can't understand this book. I have many other books at home that you should be able to understand. I'll bring them to you next time. They are all ancient books and are very precious. Your family seems to be very powerful. Chow Xiao pretended to be envious. It's all right. I'll bring you to my house the next time you go to the competition. Chow Xiao wasn't in the mood to stay with Yi Xuanfei anymore. He still had to find a way to contact Yanran and see what was going on with Yanran. They hadn't seen each other for a few days and he missed her. Then today. Before Chow Xiao could finish speaking, Yi Xuanfei suddenly looked as if she had discovered a new continent. Chow Xiao, look at Cheba. What's going on? With that said, she showed her phone to Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao saw a video on Cheba. Hashtag high school students showing their passion in a nightclub. Hashtag Xiao Xiao's eyes widened. The video actually showed Huagang and Yanran. The location of the shooting was a luxuriously decorated nightclub. The lights were dim, and loud music could be heard in the video. The angle of the video was very clear. The expressions on their faces, the movements of their hands, and even the slight trembling of their eyelashes were vividly portrayed. At first, the two of them seemed to be walking normally. Suddenly, Huagang pulled Yanran and pressed her against the wall. Huagang hugged her with both hands. At first, Yanran seemed to have pushed him away. But in that instant, Yanran seemed to have given in. Then, Huagang whispered something in her ear. Then, Huagang's kiss went straight for Yanran's neck. This kiss landed firmly on Yanran's slender, swan-like neck. At this moment, Yanran tilted her head and deliberately stretched her neck, as if she was welcoming Huagang's kiss. Xiao Zhao's eyes were surging with waves. His eyes were dark and bottomless. Xiao Xiao, control your demonic aura. Your demonic aura is about to leak out. Kong Ming suddenly shouted in the room. Xiao Xiao immediately came back to his senses. He suppressed his demonic aura. At this moment, Yi Xuanfei said, I really couldn't tell. Yanran and Huagang from your class are actually a couple. This puppy love is real. Will the school punish you? Xiao Xiao, someone uploaded this video from Weibo. It seems to have quite a big impact. Will Yanran and the rest be okay? Xiao Xiao couldn't bear to listen to Yi Xuanfei's heart-wrenching words. He took a deep breath and said to her, That's all for today. I have something to do. I'll leave first. He didn't go home. Instead, he went straight to the back of the mountain. He didn't want to suppress his demonic aura anymore. He wanted to kill Huagang. His Yanran was so pure and beautiful. How could she be tarnished by such a person? He believed that Yanran was innocent. Since the two of them had appeared at the nightclub, it meant that they were on a mission together that night. It must have been Huagang who took advantage of the situation. He released all his demonic aura. The air around the back of the mountain was compressed by him. Kong Xiaoming shouted in the room, Xiao Xiao, you have to control yourself. Your demonic aura is about to destroy everything around you. At this moment, Xiao Xiao wanted to destroy the world. He especially wanted to destroy Huagang, that bastard. He directly swept the surrounding trees. Under the destruction of his demonic aura, the trees were crying and the sky was roaring. With him as the center, a circle was drawn, and all the trees within a radius of 5 miles had their treetops cut off. Kong Ming was stunned. Xiao Xiao, you have now advanced to the top. After venting, Xiao Zhao's face darkened. He went to Huagang's ward in the middle of the night. The poison in Huagang's body had been removed. He was in the recovery stage and had already fallen asleep. But because of his long-term cultivation, his senses were different from ordinary people's. He woke up as soon as there was a sound from the window. The person who came didn't say anything and punched him in the face. Huagang was caught off guard. He quickly used all the spiritual power in his body to fight back. When he finally saw who the person who hit him was under the moonlight, he sneered. Xiao Xiao, you came looking for a beating. Both of them used their full strength. The room in the ward was too small. The two of them fought back to the back of the mountain. Xiao Xiao didn't care about hiding his demonic aura. He gathered his strength and swore to teach this scum a lesson. Huagang didn't show any mercy. He finally found an opportunity. New hatred and old hatred surged in his heart. Huagang found that Xiao Xiao had become very powerful. He was even stronger than him. This time, Xiao Xiao completely beat him. When he was pressed under Xiao Zhao's body, he looked at Xiao Zhao's angry face. His eyes were red and his face was ferocious. He sneered. Xiao Xiao, you finally stopped hiding. You devil. I can't beat you today, but one day the cultivation world will destroy you. Huagang, You've already lost to me. Killing you is as easy as killing an ant. What kind of gentleman are you in the cultivation world? Someone like you actually dared to sully other people's innocence. You are the devil. Haha, you are talking about the video. No wonder you are so agitated. Let me tell you, Yenran is mine. She and I are childhood friends. You are a devil and you still have delusions about Yenran. How much do you know about her? Do you know how much responsibility and mission she's shouldering? Other than being a burden to her, what else can you give her? Hua Gang's eyes were fierce. He used all the strength in his body to roar. I am not as good at scheming as you, but I can give her the whole world. Xiao Xiao roared out his heart. What a joke. You can't even protect Yenran when she is being punished, and you still say you can give her the whole world? Save it. I think you should go home and drink milk. Hua Gang's mouth was full of blood. When he sneered, it was especially terrifying. What did you say? Yenran is being punished? Why? Xiao Zhao's hand paused for a moment. Then, he continued to tighten his grip. She has to be punished if she fails the mission. The punishment in the cultivation world is not something you can imagine. At least 3 layers of skin will be peeled off. If you have the ability, you can take it on her behalf. Hua Gang squeezed these words out from between his teeth. When Xiao Xiao heard this, he tightened his grip on Hua Gang's neck. Don't you dare lie to me. Hua Gang exerted all the strength in his body and bit Xiao Zhao's arm. Xiao Xiao loosened his grip slightly. Hua Gang roared, I didn't lie to you. Go and see for yourself. It is in the villa behind. Xiao Xiao saw that Hua Gang did not seem to be lying. He stood up while panting. He ignored Hua Gang on the ground and flew towards the villa. Chapter 141. The night sky was divided into 2 parts by the moonlight. One part was dark, and the other part was bright. Xiao Xiao flew in the dark night. Finally, under the faint moonlight, he found the manor at the back of the mountain. It was empty and overgrown with weeds. A few simple and unadorned houses surrounded the manor. The main gate of the manor was broken. Xiao Xiao pushed open the gate. It creaked, but was not locked. Xiao Xiao began to doubt Hua Gang's words. How could he be so stupid? Maybe it was an excuse for him to escape. He carefully observed the few houses. Only one of them seemed to have been visited by someone before. There were a few handprints on the door handle. They were clearly imprinted by the thick layer of dust. Xiao Xiao listened attentively. There was only silence. Only the sound of gears moving could be heard from the room. It was especially eerie and cold in the empty villa. At this moment, the blue totem on Xiao Zhao's chest emitted a faint light. Xiao Xiao did not know why, but he reached out to suppress the uneasiness in his chest. Kong Xiaoming said, as long as the demonic sky array detects an array in the surroundings, it will alert you. Then it seems that this is the place I am looking for. Hua Gang did not lie to me. Xiao Xiao did not dare to be careless. He slowly opened the door, but the room was empty. There was nothing in it except for the spider webs and 2 broken beds. At this moment, the totem on his chest trembled even more violently. Xiao Xiao simply left the room and sat on the ground. He raised the blue totem in the air. The totem slowly rotated and emitted a golden light. The 5-pointed star turned into countless small golden swords. Summoned by the array, the small swords flew into the room like rockets without Xiao Zhao's command. After a while, the small golden swords returned to the totem. The totem also slowly returned to normal and landed on Xiao Xiao's chest. Xiao Xiao knew that the array had been broken, so he pushed open the door of the room again. The scene in front of him frightened Xiao Xiao. He saw that the originally empty room had become quite crowded. The room was full of torture instruments, cold and bloodthirsty. Under the reflection of the moonlight, they emitted a cruel light. At this moment, a thin and weak figure was curled up beside a pillar. He had already fainted. A thick hemp rope was wrapped around her neck, and her tender skin was already bruised from being strangled. His body was in an even worse state. The clothes on his back were in tatters, and blood was seeping out in patches. Some of the blood had already condensed into black spots. His hands, which were curled up on his knees, could no longer be clenched. They were swollen like steamed buns. At this moment, it was also covered in bruises. Yenran's face was already swollen, and she no longer looked as beautiful and natural as she usually did. Qiao Xiao wanted to walk up, but the scene in front of him made his legs feel as heavy as gold. Even taking a small step forward was very difficult. His heart was trembling, and there was a kind of anger that went straight to the top of his head. Why was the person he loved so much being abused by others? He stretched out his hand, and then clenched it into a fist. In addition to anger, there was also a feeling of fear that was suffocating him. At this moment, his mind was blank. He could no longer imagine what the consequences would be. He only knew that his beloved girl had just suffered inhuman torture. Just as he was hesitating, the sound of gears that he had heard before rang out again. This time, he finally knew the source of the sound. It was the rope that controlled Yenran's neck. He saw that Yenran's neck was tightened again, and the fainted Yenran seemed to cry out in pain. Qiao Xiao could no longer bear it. He walked up and used his devil qi to cut the rope, and held Yenran in his arms. Qiao Xiao felt like he was holding a person lying in an icehouse. There was no trace of warmth in his body. When Qiao Xiao hugged Yenran, he did not realize that his face was already covered in tears. Qiao Xiao buried his head in Yenran's neck with heartache. He kept calling out her name, but Yenran did not move. At this time, the mechanism was broken, and the crystal ball that had sealed Yenran's spiritual power also became dark. The little white steam bun on top of Yenran's head was finally free. She quickly threw herself at Yenran. Her master was too pitiful. She had to use all her strength to hug her, comfort her, and let her return to her original appearance. With the return of her spiritual power, Yenran finally woke up from her fainting state. The first thing she saw was Qiao Xiao holding her and crying. Yenran's hands and feet moved. Qiao Xiao immediately sensed it. He lowered his voice, and like a cello gently wrapped around Yenran, "You don't have to say anything. I'll take you home." Then he wiped his tears, picked up Yenran, and quickly shuttled through the mountain forest. Yenran's wandering heart seemed to have finally found home. The pain in her body gradually lessened with the recovery of her spiritual power, and the heavy burden that had been pressing on her heart seemed to have been taken down by someone. At this moment, she did not want to think about anything else. She was too tired, so tired that she just wanted to close her eyes and sleep forever. After returning home, Qiao Xiao placed Yenran on his big bed. He and Uncle Wu took the medicine box and the best healing pills. He personally treated Yenran's wounds bit by bit. He was the young master of the devil world. When had he ever done this kind of thing? At first, he was in a hurry. He was worried that he would hurt Yenran, who was in a deep sleep. He was also worried that his medicine would irritate her. As a result, the medicine bottle was knocked over and the bandages were cut in a mess. Fortunately, Yenran was like a sleeping princess and did not have any reaction. He scratched his hair in annoyance. He no longer cared about his image as much as he usually did. If it was messed up, then it was messed up. The most important thing now was Yenran. What should he do? He angrily threw the bandages on the bed. Now it was time to use the books. He called Kong Ming and Kong Xiaoming and told them to immediately look for medical books. He wanted the best way to deal with the wounds. Then, according to the book, he practiced every step on his own body before treating Yenran. Finally, under his careful consideration, Yenran's wounds were finally treated by him. The whip marks on her back were hideous and terrible. In order not to leave scars, Qiao Xiao used the best pills. He crushed them all and applied them to the wounds. If the alchemists of the devil world knew that these priceless pills were used by the crown prince of the devil world on a large scale as external medicine, they would beat their chests and stamp their feet. They would cry and threaten him until he vomited blood and died. Unfortunately, any threat would be useless at this time. Qiao Xiao only had Yenran in his eyes. Young Master Qiao, who had always regarded money as dung, now regarded pills as disinfectant. Yenran was much better. Her spiritual power was restored. The majestic aura in her body automatically circulated, reconciling and healing all her internal injuries. Fortunately, there was Qiao Xiao. Otherwise, her external injuries would inevitably leave scars. Originally, Yenran didn't care about these things. She just followed her own inner persistence and perseverance to do things. Her belief was firm and she still had faith. This was her life's pursuit. If she did something wrong, she would accept the punishment. She didn't blame anyone. But Qiao Xiao didn't think so. In his devil world, the law of survival was that if people didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If people offended him, he would offend them. What bullshit cultivation world? What bullshit protection of the world? If you can't even protect yourself, what's the point of protecting the world? There were many things that you couldn't succeed if you worked hard. If you didn't succeed, you still had to torture yourself. What kind of bullshit logic was this? Qiao Xiao knew that Yenran didn't do anything wrong. The mistake was made by him. In the end, he had no choice but to blow up the treasury. If he really wanted to be punished, shouldn't he be punished? Then Yenran would take the blame for him. Qiao Xiao pursed his lips. While helping Yenran treat her wounds, his mind was filled with thoughts. Now he didn't know what to do. He hated these broken rules of the cultivation world, but he was powerless to change them. After everything was done, Qiao Xiao just stared blankly at Yenran. Looking at her still swollen cheeks, her neck had been smeared with ointment and bandaged. Her 2 hands were wrapped like bare paws. Her whole back was turned to one side. A thick layer of ointment was also applied. The wound on her back couldn't be bandaged. But he couldn't let her lie flat. Qiao Xiao could only use a few pillows to cushion Yenran's back. He built a temporary frame so that her back didn't touch the bed. Just like that, as he watched, his eyelids gradually started to droop. Just like that, he fell asleep sitting there. The video of Yenran and Hua Gang was indeed very popular on the internet. The video was directly searched by people on Weibo. It turned out that it was 2 high school students from Nanchuan High School. There were actually 2 such daring students in a famous school. Then, there was a heated discussion on the internet. The main focus was on 2 topics. One was whether high school students should fall in love early. The other was whether high school students should go to nightclubs. Pomelo in bloom. It's normal for high school students to fall in love early. My husband and I fell in love in high school. There are very few good boys nowadays. You have to strike first to gain the upper hand. Sister, you can do it. Dreaming of the land. Upstairs, what kind of bullshit logic is that? You'll definitely regret it when you get into university. You didn't work hard in high school and only thought about falling in love. Love beating eggs. Speaking of which, aren't you guys focusing on the wrong thing? Why would high school students go to nightclubs to fall in love? Chi on the doorframe. As long as it's a relationship, isn't it normal to be anywhere? Passion is everywhere. Peach peach tea. High school students nowadays are too precocious. They directly skip the lips and kiss the neck. Shocked to the end. Will the school punish them? Flying in June. Good luck to the 2 brothers and sisters. The comments on the internet were a mess and there were all kinds of opinions. Nanchuan High School's Cheba was even more explosive. Yenran's face was known by the whole school. They couldn't be more familiar with her face. She was a popular figure in the school. Huagang was the same. The gossip between the outstanding talents ignited the curiosity of the audience. Candy Daddy, Yenran looks so pure, but I didn't expect her to be so popular behind the scenes. Camel riding a horse. You can't judge a book by its cover. Rose Grass, the representative of Nanchuan High School's outstanding students, is a good example for everyone. Other students who are in love early quickly come out and say something. Skinnier than a pig. Puppy love in the open should at least be punished. Strawberry Apple. Can't you guys see that this video was secretly taken? There must be a secret. Yenran is not such a person. Gathering at the village entrance to steal a goose. Yes, Yenran is not such a person. I believe in Yenran. Listening to the wind is rain. I know the inside story. They are just ordinary friends. The internet was in an uproar. It was because of the three sensitive words, high school student, nightclub, and puppy love, that pushed Yenran to the forefront of the storm. Chapter 142. While Yenran was being punished, the whole southern aristocratic family was depressed. Elder Yen was in a bad mood because of the failure of the mission and the blame from the top. He had sent Yenran's father to deal with the aftermath and try to minimize the loss. In one night, the money in the Vault of Golden Age had been successfully transferred. Although most of the money had been lost, at least 2/3 of it had been saved. That was the only way. The culprit had not been caught yet, so they had to think about it in the long run. Yenran was being punished because Elder Yen had no choice. He had to give an explanation to the top. The punishment in the disciplinary hall was very cruel. No one had come here for a long time. He didn't know if Yenran could bear it. Master, there is a piece of news on the internet. You'd better take a look. Looking at the gloomy Elder Yen, the housekeeper walked in carefully and handed the phone to him. Elder Yen took a closer look and his eyes widened. He asked uncertainly, "Is this Yenran?" The housekeeper nodded heavily. Elder Yen was so angry that his chest heaved up and down. No wonder the mission failed. They were still flirting. Elder Yen was so angry that he smashed the phone on the ground. It broke into pieces, just like his mood at the moment. Elder Yen seemed to have found a way to vent his anger. He pointed at the phone and scolded, "I cared about her. I didn't expect that this was how she repaid me. It was even posted on the internet. She is a disgrace to the southern aristocratic family." After saying that, he stomped on the phone twice and ordered the butler, "Call for a meeting." The butler looked at his phone being dismembered, and his heart was throbbing with pain. The annual general meeting of the southern aristocratic family was usually held before the new year. It also meant to reward people based on their contributions. Usually, the internal meeting of the top management was held once a month, while the expansion meeting of the middle management was held once every 6 months. This time, Elder Yen asked for a temporary expansion meeting of the middle management. It would only be held when there was a major event in the family that needed to be reported. This time, Elder Yen was determined to hold Yenran accountable within the aristocratic family. "Master, all the videos have been connected. We are just waiting for you to start the meeting," the housekeeper reported. Elder Yen turned around and strode into the meeting room. There was a large screen on the wall that was divided into many sections. Each section was occupied by the person in charge of the southern aristocratic family. Elder Yenran stood in front of the big screen in an imposing manner. This impromptu meeting is mainly to report the failure of a mission. Yenran was caught up in her personal feelings during the mission and lost her ability to judge, which ultimately led to the failure of the mission. She will be punished with 3 days in the disciplinary hall and a demotion of 1 rank. Everyone was shocked. They had already seen the video on the internet, but they didn't expect it to be true. Every cultivator knew how severe the punishment of the discipline hall was. It seems that Yenran's career is not going to be smooth. The accountability of the video meeting knocked on everyone's heart. At this time, Yenran, who was lying on the bed, seemed to have heard Elder Yan's voice. She suddenly woke up and bounced slightly on the bed. Xiao Xiao, who was beside the bed, was also awakened by this slight movement. He looked at Yenran, who was a little dazed on the bed. Her eyes were still a little empty. He squatted down, gently grabbed the little hand that was wrapped like a bear's paw, and waved it in front of Yenran's eyes. "Good morning, Yenran." A bright smile bloomed in front of Yenran's eyes. Yenran was in a trance. The last time she opened her eyes, she saw a body full of torture instruments. The next time she opened her eyes, she was in heaven. Was this a dream? Yenran wanted to raise her hand and touch the handsome face in front of her, but then she found 2 white bare paws floating in front of her. She looked at the professionally wrapped hands, with a beautiful bow on the top. There was also a big smiley face on the palm and the back of the hands. A wave of warmth hit her heart. Yenron's hoarse voice sounded, "Qiao Xiao, I found that you are really handsome." At this time, Qiao Xiao suddenly felt a little embarrassed. He didn't sleep much last night. His hair was messed up by him, and stubble had probably grown out. The dark circles under his eyes were probably almost as dark as an ink painting. He let go of Yenron's hand, winked at her and said, "Wait for me." Qiao Xiao moved quickly. After fiddling with the bathroom for a while, he returned to Yenron's side. The moment he sat on the bed, he saw Yenron's rare faint smile. The beauty of the world froze at this moment. Qiao Xiao wanted to go on like this. Time was quiet, not fast, not slow, not in a hurry. "Yenran, how are you? Are you better?" "I'm fine. It's fine with spiritual power protecting my body." Yenran looked good except for her hoarse voice. Yenran asked Qiao Xiao to get a pillow behind her. "Your back is injured. This is not good for the wound." Qiao Xiao hurriedly stopped her. "Yesterday, when I applied medicine for you, it was so bloody that I could almost see the bones." Yenran thought of that scene and blushed. "Yesterday, you helped me change my clothes?" Qiao Xiao blushed and raised his right hand. "I swear my eyes were closed, and I only changed my clothes." Thinking of last night when he accidentally caught a glimpse of white tenderness, Qiao Xiao's heart beat faster. Yenran didn't say anything. She stared at Qiao Xiao. "Now your back should be almost healed." Qiao Xiao looked. After a night of rest, Yenron's back was already scarred. Qiao Xiao helped her sit up and put 3 pillows behind her, all the way to the top of her head. Yenran closed her eyes comfortably. Warmth flowed between the two. Qiao Xiao's eyes were complicated and deep. They were full of love, heartache, and regret. "I'm sorry, Yenran. It's all my fault. I didn't control my strength and caused you to suffer so much." Yenran shook her head. "I blamed you before because I was angry. Don't take it to heart." Although it's said that success depends on human effort, the real success or failure depends on the heavens. We must have met an expert, which caused the failure of the mission. "But why do you have to bear such a big responsibility?" "I'm the leader. Of course I have to bear the responsibility for the failure of the mission. I did it willingly. It's also because I'm not good enough." "Nonsense. How can this be blamed on you? Our opponent is so strong. Didn't they not expect it before?" "It's useless to say more. This is our responsibility. We can't blame others." Qiao Xiao was speechless for a moment. He didn't know how to answer. After a while, Qiao Xiao continued, "Does the cultivation world have to bear such a big responsibility? The heavens gave us the inheritance and gave us special abilities. That's why we have to bear the equivalent responsibility. You're too great. Not everyone thinks the way you do. What's the devil world like? We talk based on strength. Whoever doesn't listen to us, we beat them up. Then what should people like you do if your strength isn't enough? I'm the crown prince. Of course, I'm the only one who can beat people up. But that was in the past. Now, I'm pretty strong. Recently, my martial arts have improved. I can even beat Huagang." Qiao Xiao said proudly. Yenran sensed that something was wrong. The white steam buns on top of her head glared. "When did you fight with Huagang again?" Qiao Xiao saw that he had spilled the beans. His eyes darted left and right. "No, it's just last time." "Didn't you lose last time? Tell me the truth." Qiao Xiao felt guilty when he lied in front of Yenran. He could only say with righteous indignation, "Isn't it because of the video of you and him? It's all over the internet now. I don't know who did it, but I know that you didn't do it willingly. You were on a mission at that time, so it must be him. However, Yenran, Huagang has bad intentions towards you. Can you stay away from him in the future?" "What video?" Yenran was confused. "The one where he kissed you." Qiao Xiao didn't even want to mention it. Yenran immediately became alert. Show me. Do you really want to see it? Show me. Xiao Xiao could only show the video to Yanran. Yanran's face darkened. Xiao Xiao looked at Yanran's expression and asked in a low voice, "Is it what I guessed? You didn't do it willingly, did you?" Yanran looked up and glared at him. "What do you think?" Then she explained, "There was a security guard passing by at that time. I had no choice." Xiao Xiao had already guessed it, but he was still a little jealous. "Anyway, he's a scumbag. Do you have to kiss him?" "I haven't kissed him yet." Yanran was speechless. "Is that the point? I have to go back first. This matter is not normal." Yanran's keen sense of smell told her that the source of this video was strange. How could someone secretly take a video? The cameras in the corridor had already been destroyed. Moreover, with her cultivation, she would have noticed if someone was following her. Could it be that the Golden Age was so full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons? Yanran rushed back to her grandfather's house, ignoring her injuries. However, she was told that her grandfather was asleep and didn't want to see anyone. It seemed that Grandpa was still angry with her. She had to say to the housekeeper, "Please tell Grandpa that I've been punished. I'm here to report to Grandpa." The housekeeper looked at Yanran's hand and sighed. "Miss Yanran, go back and check your mailbox. This time, Elder Yen is really angry. Your accountability has been dealt. Just yesterday, because your video made too much noise, Elder Yen held an emergency middle-level meeting and demoted you." Yanran didn't expect such a result. She hurried over to explain the video, but she was caught unprepared by this sudden thunderbolt. She had already spent a lot of energy healing. When she heard the news, she couldn't help but feel her brain explode and her body tremble slightly. The housekeeper was shocked. "Miss Yanran, are you okay? You have to understand the master. He needs to give an explanation to his superiors." Yanran's originally heavy heart became even heavier. Her heart was filled with bitterness. A mouthful of blood surged up her throat. She desperately swallowed it down, but the taste of rust had already spread to her mouth. This punishment had hurt her foundation. Chapter 143. Grandpa, Grandpa. Yi Xuanfei was extremely excited. She called out to her grandpa from upstairs and downstairs, fluttering around the living room like a butterfly. "What are you so happy about?" Old Master Yi walked down the stairs slowly with a smile. He had just woken up from his nap when he heard the crisp chirping of birds outside. "Grandpa, I heard that the southern aristocratic family is holding Yanran accountable. And the punishment is very severe. She has already been sent to the disciplinary hall. I don't know if she has come out yet." "Haha, I already know about this. It has spread throughout the cultivation world." "Xuanfei, you have fought beautifully this time. She is our strongest opponent. She is righteous and loyal. She is the pillar of the southern aristocratic family. If we can take her down, the rest of the southern aristocratic family will not be worth mentioning." Old Master Yi patted Yi Xuanfei's shoulder and gave her an encouraging thumbs up. Yi Xuanfei was also very happy. She did not expect to win her first battle. The timing was right. Who asked Yanran to fail her mission? "Grandpa, what should we do next?" "This is only the beginning. Yanran is still our strongest opponent. Only by finding a way to turn her into a useless person can we resolve our worries." "Ah, Grandpa, isn't this a bit too cruel? Kindness to the enemy is cruelty to yourself. Don't bother about trifles when you plan for big things. Every time a dynasty changes, there will always be sacrifices. Xuanfei, I have always told you to read more history books. History is always repeating itself, and we can only be the ones to ascend to the throne in the end. But Yanran is so powerful. What can we do to destroy her spiritual power? Grandpa has already prepared this." Old Master Yi walked to the side of a safe, entered the password, opened the cabinet, and took out a small porcelain bottle. "This is a spiritual pill. As long as we find a way to make Yanran eat it, no matter how strong her spiritual power is, it will be reduced to nothing. Yi Xuanfei asked in a trembling voice, other than reducing her spiritual power, will it also take her life? That won't happen. It's not poison. Modern medicine can't detect it. We are cultivators, and protecting humans is our ultimate mission. If Yanran loses her spiritual power, then she will be the target of our protection. How can we just watch her die? Yi Lao Lao smiled and said the most ruthless words. So grandfather, this must be the reason why you want me to maintain a good relationship with her. Yi Xuanfei's heart was trembling, a sense of fear crept into her heart. She could almost hear her heart beating faster and faster. A kind of fear seeped out of her body, turning the air around her cold. Old Master Yi could see the fear in Yi Xuanfei's eyes. Xuanfei, you are the pillar of our Eastern aristocratic family. You can't be a coward at this critical moment. I've been planning this for so long, and now it's almost the critical moment. There is no turning back. You have to gather your courage and be brave. Don't treat her as a living person. You have to treat her as a stumbling block in your path to the throne. Only by removing this stumbling block will you be able to sit on your throne and receive the admiration of all the cultivators in the world. Her grandfather's words were like a catalyst for her ambition, causing her tiny expectations to expand infinitely. She took the porcelain bottle with her right hand and pressed down on her trembling right wrist with her left hand. This porcelain bottle in her hand was as heavy as 1,000 pieces of gold. Grandfather, I'm about to participate in the hip-hop competition. Can you wait for me to come back before carrying out this mission? Grandfather looked deeply at Yi Xuanfei. Go ahead. When you come back, you can't delay any longer. Yi Xuanfei lowered her eyes, hiding the discomfort in her heart, and nodded her head heavily. Old Master Yi said in the end, the key to the success of the entire Eastern aristocratic family lies in this porcelain bottle. Xuanfei, you can only succeed. Failure is not an option. As the college entrance exam approached, Yanran's injuries gradually recovered under Qiao Zhao's meticulous care. Uncle Wu tidied up the house one day. He realized that more than half of the pills in the storeroom on the second floor had been used up. He was shocked because a thief had broken into the house. After asking around, he finally found out that they had all been used on Miss Yanran. Uncle Wu waved his hand. The future crown princess could take whatever she needed. If it wasn't enough, he would think of other ways. Qiao Xiao was about to leave when he suddenly tripped. He turned his head stiffly. Uncle Wu, what did you just say? Uncle Wu left silently. From afar, the words future crown princess drifted over. Qiao Xiao chewed on these words for a long time. He felt that it was really delicious. Time was like a child who couldn't wait to grow up. It was only a few weeks until their college entrance exam. Even Qiao Xiao felt that the atmosphere in the school was a little different, especially in the second-year group. The few people who usually played games with him also began to read the books seriously and do the questions. Zhang Deong, you're cramming at the last minute. There should be a limit to studying. You don't even speak a word all day. Don't study until you're stupid. Qiao Xiao took a pen and knocked on Zhang Deong's table. Zhang Deong raised his head from the pile of books. His eyes were red and dark. Brother Qiao, I'm about to drown. Save me. I can't breathe. Even swimming requires breathing. Do you really think you're a lobster at the bottom of the sea? Ma Xiaoxian turned his head. Last night, he read books until 3 in the morning. In the morning, he rushed to school to do practice questions. He didn't even have time to comb his hair. It was messy, like a chicken's nest on his head. Brother Qiao, he's not a lobster. He's a soft-footed shrimp at the bottom of the sea. We're going to be tortured to the bottom of the sea forever. Juqi also pouted and took a paper over. Brother Qiao, can you explain this question to me? I really don't understand. My brain is fried. Come, let Brother Qiao inject some fresh brain cells into you. I just bought milk tea. It'll be here soon. Wow, Brother Qiao, long live. After a while, Yanran and a few classmates walked into the classroom with a lot of milk tea in their hands. Xiao Xiao saw that Yanran had 4 in her left hand and 4 in her right hand. He quickly took them and whispered to her, "Your hand is injured. Why are you still carrying such heavy things?" Yanran smiled. "I just happened to hear that you ordered milk tea at the door, so I brought it in. This weight is nothing. Sit down and let me take a look." Xiao Xiao pulled Yanran over and let her sit down. Then, he turned her 2 hands over and over and looked at them for a long time. Her 2 slender and delicate hands. Her skin was white and crystal clear. Her neatly trimmed and round nails were like the most tender spring bamboo shoots. Because she was carrying the milk tea, there were a few red marks on her palms, which made his heart ache. Juchi's small eyes stared closely. Xiao Xiao was holding Yanran's hand. The more she looked, the stranger she felt. "Brother Qiao, Sister Yanran, do you too count as holding hands?" As soon as this sentence came out, Yanran was like a frightened rabbit. She quickly withdrew her hand and rubbed it awkwardly. She stopped talking and sat upright. Then, she picked up a book and began to do the questions. Xiao Xiao seemed to have also reacted. He leaned back in his chair and coughed. "Come, Juchi, which question did you not know how to do just now? Let Brother Qiao explain it to you." Juchi looked at Xiao Xiao and then at Yanran. She thumped her chest and stamped her feet. Then, she advised in a heavy tone, "Brother Qiao, your flirting skills have improved by another level. You're so gentle and considerate. Can't you give other girls a chance?" Xiao Xiao touched his nose. "I'll only flirt with Yanran, okay? Are you still going to talk about the questions? If not, I'll go read." "Yes, yes, yes. Brother Qiao is always right." All right. Let's hurry up and read." Ma Xiaoxian, the king of smoothing things over, jumped out again. "Brother Qiao is treating everyone to milk tea. Hurry up and shut up. After drinking the milk tea, read your books." The atmosphere became more and more tense day by day. The occasional banter and quarrel became rare. In the past few weeks, the students in this grade had been studying like crazy. Their eyes were staring blankly and their brain cells were dying one after another. Under the influence of such an atmosphere, Xiao Xiao made the little tadpoles in his mind take out all the things that needed to be reviewed. He had already thought about it. Yanran was going to study finance at Northern University. Then, he would study computer science at Northern University together. Anyway, he had to watch over Yanran. The results of the college entrance examination were very important. Although he and Yanran's grades were ranked first and second in school, after all, they were competing with students from all over the country. He couldn't drop the ball. If he didn't go to the same school as Yanran, wouldn't he cry to death? The tense atmosphere had already extended to Yi Xuanfei, who was in the next class. Although her grades were average and she definitely had to take the college entrance examination and wouldn't rely on the college entrance examination to enroll students, the college entrance examination was also very important. If she didn't work hard and couldn't get into a good school, old Master Yi would probably be disappointed in her. During this period of time, other than looking for Xiao Xiao and Yanran to chat, she often gave Xiao Xiao small gifts. Xiao Xiao didn't reject anyone. Every day, there were countless girls giving him gifts. He didn't even know which girl gave him the gifts. And Yi Xuanfei's gift was the most special. There was always a little blue star on the outside of the wrapping paper. It was the pattern of the gem on her navel ring. But Xiao Xiao didn't care. It was piled together with the other gifts. After a long time, it was distributed to the students in the class or taken away by the cleaning auntie. Zhang Deong always said that he stepped on the girls' hearts. Xiao Xiao said eloquently, "They want me to accept it, not how I deal with it. Think about it. Isn't this for everyone's benefit?" The other fans were fine. They didn't know that Xiao Xiao would deal with it this way. But Yi Xuanfei once saw that her gift was thrown away by the cleaning auntie like trash. She couldn't help but be furious and ran to Xiao Xiao to reason with him. But she was dismissed by Xiao Xiao with a few words. He went back and continued to give her gifts with a smile. Zhang Deong sighed. "Brother Qiao, you're really a master at coaxing girls." Xiao Xiao felt that it was true. Why didn't he practice in this aspect? It was really strange. Chapter 144. Soon, it was the day of the mini-college entrance examination. The sun rose to the sky early in the morning, urging the group of examinees to wake up. Uncle Wu also made a sumptuous breakfast. This time, the fried eggs and youtiao were on point. However, when he heard Xiao Xiao say that their total score was no longer 100, Uncle Wu added half a youtiao for him to make it 700. As soon as they entered the school, the door of each classroom was pasted with the examination room number and seat number. It was basically a simulation of the official college entrance examination. The teachers were all waiting solemnly. There were 2 invigilators in each classroom, and a few teachers were in charge of patrolling. The school's broadcasting equipment was checked again and again. There was an English exam in the morning, so everyone was equipped with headphones. When the students came to the classroom with their heavy backpacks, they were all stopped a meter away. Their backpacks, phones, and electronic devices were all handed over. They even went through a special security channel before the students were allowed to enter the classroom. The teacher said that this was a simulation of the college entrance examination. The atmosphere was tense and enthusiastic. Xiao Xiao carried a pencil case and walked into his examination room. He was very happy because he could finally be in the same examination room as Yanran. He saw Yanran walk into the classroom. There were 2 empty seats in front of him. He was about to say a few words when the invigilator on the stage said, "You are not allowed to speak during the exam. Examinees, please return to your seats." Xiao Xiao touched his nose. There were so many requirements. Just like that, in the same examination room, Xiao Xiao and Yanran completed the most important exam in their lives. Xiao Xiao felt that he had done well. The little tadpoles had worked hard this time. He was definitely going to college. Xiao Xiao was in high spirits. The mini-college entrance examination was over in the blink of an eye. The school that had been quiet for 3 days was bustling again. Xiao Xiao walked out of the examination room and looked at the direct sunlight. He stretched and looked back at Yanran, who had also walked out of the examination room. It felt good to advance and retreat together. "Yanran, do you want to go and relax with your classmates? Let's go eat together?" Xiao Xiao looked at her with a smile. Before Yanran could reply, she saw Yi Xuanfei running over like the wind. From afar, she could hear her shouting, "Xiao Xiao, the exams are finally over. Let's go and celebrate." Xiao Xiao smiled bitterly. This Yi Xuanfei was like a dog's skin plaster. He couldn't get rid of her. Yanran smiled faintly. "Let's go together. Call Zhang Deong and the others." Zhang Deong and the others ran over from afar, swinging their school bags. They felt as if they had just been reborn. "How did it go?" Zhang Deong asked excitedly. "Looks like you did well in the exam. You're in such a good mood." Xiao Xiao patted his shoulder. Zhang Deong scratched his head embarrassedly. "It's all right. It's better than my usual standards. But I definitely can't compare to Brother Qiao. It's boring to compare with others. The most important thing is to compare with yourself." "Awesome. Deong, I'll give you a thumbs up. Let's go. What do you want to eat? Brother Qiao is treating today." It was as if they had returned to the first year of high school. A group of people marched towards the most popular restaurant in the city. Ma Xiaoshuan's slogan was to make Brother Qiao bankrupt today. What made the group even more excited was that the beautiful Yi Xuanfei had joined the group. Although she was wearing her school uniform, she still deliberately revealed her belly button. The boys' gazes kept drifting downwards. The group of people who swore to make Brother Qiao bankrupt went straight to the most famous 4-star Michelin restaurant in Nanchuan. Fortunately, they had booked a private room in advance on the way. Otherwise, they would have had to wait for at least 2 hours at the door. The decoration of the Michelin restaurant was elegant. Just the green plants alone covered the entire walkway. And the world-famous paintings on the walls made people feel that this was not a restaurant, but an art gallery full of artistic atmosphere. Ma Xiaoxian said exaggeratedly, "Every breath I take is immersed in the atmosphere of art." Wang Jinyun also praised, "This must be a restaurant designed by an artist." The combination of Chinese and Western styles was just right. It had the combination of the Western royal aesthetic and the Eastern classical style. At the corner, a sculpture of Venus stood in front of him without warning. After entering the private room, it was even more exquisite. The entire room was about 50 square meters. It was divided into a rest area and a dining area. The leather sofa in the rest area was comfortable and spacious. Wang Jinyun threw himself directly on the thick sofa cushions and rolled from one end to the other. And the girls were also affected. Coupled with the relaxed and comfortable atmosphere at this time, and more importantly, the relieved mood, the group of people began to throw pillows playfully. And what Xiao Xiao had to do was to protect Yen Ran so that the pillow would not hit her. And what Yi Xuanfei wanted to do was to deliberately hit Xiao Xiao with the pillow. In the midst of the laughter, the group of people fought together. Although Yen Ran was the same age as them, she was the most mature. At this time, she was the only one who thought of ordering. So she automatically took on this heavy responsibility. Xiao Xiao shouted directly, "Yen Ran, order whatever you want. Eat whatever you want." The corners of Yen Ran's eyes turned up and the corners of her mouth curved. She knew that Xiao Xiao said this for her to hear. Every set of tableware on the table was quite exquisite. The heavy metal color looked particularly expensive under the light. Zhang Deong picked up a golden plate. It was so heavy that he thought he was picking up an inkstone. "Damn, what is this made of? Is it pure gold?" "Wake up, the surface must be plated with a layer of gold. The inside is either iron or copper." Wang Jinyun shook up and down and said disapprovingly. The waiter next to him pursed his lips and smiled. He kindly explained, "This is gold-plated. All the materials here are made of metal, but in order to give the customers a better experience, we've uniformly plated a layer of gold powder." Zhang Deong patted his chest and said, "It's all right. If I accidentally broke it, I don't want Brother Chow to go bankrupt." Yen Ran ordered 9 cold dishes and 10 hot dishes for them. Each of them had their favorite dishes. In the middle, a dragon boat made of seafood was served. The waiter pushed a cart into the restaurant, emitting a celestial aura. Wen Jing and Juchi whispered, "Your waitresses are so beautiful. Their figures are first class." Yi Xuanfei snorted unhappily. "They're just so." Wen Jing and Juchi looked at Yi Xuanfei carefully from head to toe, then gave her 2 thumbs up. "Sister, you're awesome. Especially your small waist, it's much prettier than other people's." Yi Xuanfei turned her head proudly, full of arrogance. Their table was full of 9 people. Xiao Xiao sat at the head of the table. His left was reserved for Yen Ran. Yi Xuanfei took the initiative to sit on his right. The others didn't care and sat at the same table with laughter. Then Yi Xuanfei realized that something was wrong. Why was Xiao Zhao's chopsticks constantly picking food for Yen Ran? Yen Ran's small bowl was piled up like a small mountain. At the same time, Xiao Xiao asked for several other bowls and plates for Yen Ran. One was for soup, one was for dipping sauce, one was for dipping vinegar, and one was for adding a little chili. Xiao Zhao's mouth didn't stop. He kept saying to Yen Ran, "This is delicious. Try it. It's even more fragrant if you dip it in vinegar." He didn't touch the food in his bowl at all. He had been taking care of Yen Ran. The others were already used to it. Xiao Zhao's flattering face had become normal in their eyes. Yen Ran seemed to be used to it. She calmly ate whatever was served and put aside whatever she didn't want to eat. Xiao Xiao watched as Yen Ran finished the food he had picked for her. He felt extremely satisfied. Lian Juchi and Wen Jing were making a fuss. "Brother Chow is biased. He doesn't pick food for us." Yi Xuanfei's bowl was empty. She thought that since Xiao Xiao picked food for Yen Ran, he would naturally pick food for her too. But after waiting for a long time and staring until her eyes were sore, she still didn't see Xiao Xiao glance in her direction. Gradually, she couldn't stand it anymore. Her eyes were sore and her heart was sour. Her mouth felt like it was filled with vinegar and the words that came out of her mouth were bitter. Just as Qiao Xiao was about to take a prawn and give it to Yen Ran, Yi Xuanfei picked it up with her chopsticks and didn't let Qiao Xiao take it away. The two of them were at odds. Qiao Xiao, you're really too biased. How can you not care about me at all? Qiao Xiao pushed Yi Xuanfei's chopsticks away and continued to pick a prawn. He didn't have time to care about Yi Xuanfei. Why should I care about you? Aren't the others eating by themselves? Yi Xuanfei couldn't take it anymore. Then why are you trying so hard to pick food for Yen Ran? Yen Ran is my goddess. Don't you know? This is something that the whole school knows. Yi Xuanfei was immediately indignant when she heard this answer. She asked in exasperation, why is she your goddess? Why can't I be your goddess? Eldest miss, you may be someone else's goddess, but my goddess is only Yen Ran. With that, he put the prawn he had just plucked into the vinegar dish. You. Yi Xuanfei was speechless. She really didn't expect Qiao Xiao to have such a good relationship with Yen Ran. And from the looks of it, he didn't seem to be faking it. With Yen Ran's cold personality, how could she accept someone like Qiao Xiao? Ma Xiaoxian saw that the atmosphere was tense and immediately jumped out to say, Beauty Yi, come here. I'll get food for you. With that, he picked up a lot of food and piled it into Yi Xuanfei's bowl. But Yi Xuanfei didn't appreciate it at all. She didn't want to eat at all. She just looked at Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran angrily. The more she looked at them, the angrier she got. They were so intimate. But this was all in Yi Xuanfei's imagination. Qiao Xiao and Yen Ran looked very normal when they were eating, except for Qiao Xiao who was more proactive. But Yi Xuanfei's eyes seemed to have grown thorns, and there was a nail in her heart. It made her feel uncomfortable no matter how she looked at it. The jealousy in her heart grew crazily like weeds, slowly covering her original rationality. The other students ate heartily during the meal, and they kept praising the Michelin chef's reputation. In addition to the elegant environment and exquisite utensils, the most important thing was the taste of the dishes, which were excellent. Everyone was so full that they couldn't even walk. Only Yi Xuanfei was still hungry. She had eaten so much that she was full of anger. Chapter 145. By the time the dinner ended, it was already around 9 p.m. The dinner had lasted for a long time, so everyone went their separate ways. Yi Xuanfei pestered Qiao Xiao to send her home. Qiao Xiao had originally planned to send Yen Ran home, but since Yi Xuanfei was going with them, the three of them took a taxi together. Yen Ran didn't say much along the way. Instead, Yi Xuanfei kept pulling Qiao Xiao and chatting with him about everything. It was as if she had the upper hand and Qiao Xiao was hers. Qiao Xiao felt a little helpless. If he had known Yi Xuanfei was like this, he would have stayed away from her. Could it be that he owed her a favor because they had read the ancient book together? Qiao Xiao touched his nose. That seemed to be the case. Thinking of this, he felt a little guilty. After all, he had secretly memorized her family heirloom. Sending her home could be considered as returning the favor. But when they arrived at Yi Xuanfei's house, Yi Xuanfei suddenly pestered Yen Ran and Qiao Xiao to go to her house. Yen Ran politely refused. Yi Xuanfei couldn't wait. She only hoped that Qiao Xiao would go home with her alone. But Qiao Xiao knew his limits. How could he go along with Yi Xuanfei's wishes? The moment Yen Ran said no, he immediately refused. A girl asking a boy to go to your house in the middle of the night. It won't be good if I say it out loud. For the sake of your reputation, I'll take my leave. Yi Xuanfei looked at Qiao Xiao walking away without any hesitation. She was so angry that she stomped her feet twice. When Qiao Xiao disappeared, she took a deep breath and was about to go upstairs. At this moment, a person walked out from the shadow of the corner. He had a square face, a tall and handsome figure. Yi Xuanfei took a look and saw that it was the male lead in the video, Hua Gang. Huagang stepped forward and smiled at Yi Xuanfei. He said straightforwardly, "Qiao Xiao refuses to go to your house. Can I go up and sit for a while?" Yi Xuanfei sized up Huagang and wondered why he was here. She said warily, "Why would a boy like you want to go to my house in the middle of the night? It's about Qiao Xiao and Yanran. Don't you want to hear about it?" Huagang wasn't worried that Yi Xuanfei would refuse. Sure enough, after 5 minutes, the two of them were sitting in the living room that Yi Xuanfei had meticulously decorated. As soon as Huagang entered the house, he felt that something was amiss. The whole house looked very clean, but it was also a little messy. In the corners or in the most careless places, there were always some unexpected obstacles. Huagang pondered seriously for a moment, and then a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. He looked at Yi Xuanfei. She was still wearing her school uniform, but she looked very sexy in it. However, it wasn't Huagang's cup of tea. At this moment, Yi Xuanfei's expression had returned to normal. There was a hint of arrogance in her eyes, which was completely different from the way she looked at Qiao Xiao. Huagang considered his words carefully. "Is there a formation set up in this room?" Yi Xuanfei didn't expect him to be able to tell at a glance. She didn't deny it. "Yes, I know a little about it. Do you know about it too?" "I don't know much about it, but I've read about it before. You're from the Eastern aristocratic family, right?" The Eastern aristocratic family is famous for their research on formations. Yi Xuanfei looked at Huagang and felt that he was quite smart. He was able to deduce the truth from some small details. She liked smart people like him. She restrained the arrogance on her face and took the initiative to ask the servants to serve Huagang a cup of tea. She poured a cup for herself and said to him, "Do you have a story you want to tell me?" Huagang picked up the tea and took a small sip. "Don't be too disappointed if I tell you. Qiao Xiao and Yanran are a couple." Yi Xuanfei trembled in disbelief. She accidentally spilled the tea in her hand and scalded her fingers. Then she said firmly, "That's impossible. Their auras are completely incompatible. Other than Qiao Xiao taking the initiative, Yanran's cold personality wouldn't accept it at all. And Qiao Xiao is just like that. He's the same to everyone, especially girls. He likes to flirt." Yi Xuanfei couldn't help but defend Qiao Xiao. Yi Xuanfei turned the teacup in her hand. "And isn't the video online of you and Yanran?" Huagang wasn't in a hurry to speak. He took a sip of tea, leaned back on the sofa and laughed. "They've been together for a long time. At first, I wanted to pursue Yanran, but Yanran didn't give me any chance at all. Later, Qiao Xiao got into trouble a few times and it was Yanran who helped to solve it. I felt that something was wrong. Later, after the video of me and Yanran came out, Qiao Xiao and I fought. He clearly said that Yanran was his, so don't be wishful thinking." "Impossible." Hearing this, Yi Xuanfei's pupils contracted slightly. Her long and curly eyelashes trembled slightly. She murmured and shook her head. "You lied to me. Whether I lied to you or not, time will prove everything. I came to you today for another matter." Yi Xuanfei was in an extremely bad mood. She said in an unfriendly tone, "What else?" "If there's nothing else, you can leave. I want to join the Eastern aristocratic family." "Why? Aren't you in the Southern aristocratic family?" "I won't have a future in the Southern aristocratic family. As soon as the video was released online, I knew that Yanran and I would definitely be scapegoats. I won't be able to make a name for myself in the Southern aristocratic family. I'm about to reach Zixuan's level. I wonder if the Eastern aristocratic family needs a talent like me?" Yi Xuanfei gradually calmed down. She woke up from the shock that Qiao Xiao and Yanran had given her. There was still work to be done. She couldn't delay her grandfather's important matters. Yi Xuanfei didn't say anything. She held the tea and sipped it. She ignored Huagang like this. This was also a psychological battle between the two of them. Huagang sat on the sofa as steadily as Mount Tai. He looked at Yi Xuanfei indifferently and took a sip of tea from time to time. It was as if this was just a normal conversation and he wasn't nervous at all. Yi Xuanfei had already thought it through. It seemed that their failure last time and the video she had taken had a great impact on Yanran. Then tell me, how did you become scapegoats in the southern aristocratic family? Yi Xuanfei needed to know about Yanran's recent situation. Last time, we originally accepted a mission to destroy the underground vault. The location was right, it was at the lowest level of the Golden Years. But in the process of carrying out the mission, we met an expert. He set up a formation so that we couldn't escape from it. Later on, Yanran blew up the entire formation, but the entire underground vault was buried. Because of this, Yanran was locked up in the punishment hall for 3 days. After she came out, she was badly injured. At the same time, our entire team was punished. Yanran was even demoted by 1 level. Yi Xuanfei didn't expect so many things to happen after that. The most important person in the southern aristocratic family was Yanran. She didn't expect that she would be halfway to success. She made the entire southern aristocratic family disappointed in Yanran. This was the first step. In the battle between the eastern and southern aristocratic families, Yanran would definitely have to pay a corresponding price. Then Yanran wouldn't be a threat. Yi Xuanfei also sat up straight and leaned back in her chair. At this time, she started to act businesslike. It's not impossible for you to join the eastern aristocratic family, but you have to give me a satisfactory proof of your loyalty. Huagang smiled sinisterly. I've already thought about this. I just revealed some information about us to you. If you are willing to accept me, I'm willing to be a spy for the southern aristocratic family. How about that? Huagang threw out this big bait. Yi Xuanfei's eyes lit up. The light in her eyes pleased Huagang. He knew that he had succeeded. Then he heard Yi Xuanfei ask solemnly, "Then what other requests do you have?" "I only have one request. I want Yanran," Huagang answered firmly. Yi Xuanfei smiled with satisfaction. "Yanran is yours. Qiao Xiao is mine. We have the same goal. I welcome you to join the Eastern aristocratic family." After the small college entrance examination, they went to school for a few days before the end of their second year of high school. Time was always like the most regular child. It didn't matter if you kept up with it or not, it was always running forward. Maturity accompanied the most important 3 years of high school. Now that more than half of it had passed, after all the complicated work was done, this group of second-year students was about to enter the summer vacation. Other than Qiao Xiao and Yanran, the rest of the students had to go to school for the entire summer vacation. The 2 months of vacation added up to less than a week. As for Qiao Xiao and Yanran, because they were taking the path of independent enrollment, it was equivalent to their high school life ending early. Even the teacher suggested the two of them. "Can you go home now to prepare the materials? Then do some social practice. If there's nothing important, don't come to school to disturb other students." Qiao Xiao and Yanran looked at each other. Their high school life ended early? Under the reluctant gazes of Zhang Deong and the rest, Qiao Xiao treated them to milk tea one last time and promised that they would meet again after the college entrance examination. "Do well. We'll be classmates in university." Zhang Deong and the rest were reluctant to part. They sent Qiao Xiao and Yanran to the school gate. Then, Qiao Xiao gave everyone a big hug. Zhang Deong hugged him and cried like a child. Ma Xiaoxian quickly pulled him away. "What are you doing? It's not like you're going to die. Why are you crying so miserably?" "I'm crying. It's been 2 years and I finally got to hug my Prince Charming." A few people looked at him speechlessly as they watched Qiao Xiao leave. Then, on the school's Chieba forum, a picture of Qiao Xiao leaving the school was posted. The 9-square grid was still as handsome as ever, but there were a few more students with red eyes next to him. The forum was filled with cries. "Dumplings gluten bun. The school hunk actually graduated early. Sob 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 sob. I'm so sad. Waves with you. Brother Qiao, don't forget that we're waiting for you in university. Zhou Qi, we'll always be your fans, Brother Qiao." You have to be on the headlines of Weibo often so that we can see you. Sand Eagle crossing the river. I'm going to eat 3 bowls of rice tonight to calm my sadness. Walking snow. My ghost hand can no longer be used. I'm so sad. Pandora's box. I have a lot of Brother Chow's handsome face in stock. When you guys really miss Brother Chow, I can release them. Big frog at the bottom of the pit. I have to release them every day. Life without Brother Chow is worse than death. Just like that, Chow Xiao and Yen Ran ended their colorful and rhythmic high school life amidst the pity of countless people. Chapter 146. When Chow Xiao left the school, Yi Xuanfei was in class. She didn't know what was going on in the class next door. When she saw that Chow Xiao was no longer in school, her heart ached. Didn't she transfer schools because of Chow Xiao and Yen Ran? What was going on? The two of them were no longer in school. What was the point of her coming over? It seemed that there was a change in the plan. She had to inform Grandpa to help her transfer back. However, even if she was no longer in Nanchuan, she would still have the opportunity to interact with Chow Xiao. The most important thing this summer vacation was waiting for her and Chow Xiao to complete together. It was the National Hip Hop Finals. She and Chow Xiao had successfully advanced. Yi Xuanfei also told Chow Xiao that the finals would be held in the busiest city in the Eastern District, Huanghai City. Before transferring back to the Eastern District, Yi Xuanfei didn't care at all. What else did she have to learn during the summer vacation? It was too much of a waste of her good years. Hence, she took 2 months of sick leave from the school and prepared everything. She flew to Huanghai City with Chow Xiao to participate in the finals. Huanghai City was the most prosperous city in the country. Its GDP was ranked first in the country, and it was also an international financial center. The country's various support policies were biased towards them, and all the pilot projects prioritized Huanghai City. In such an environment, the Eastern District and the Southern District naturally formed a competitive situation. This was also the reason why Old Master Yi felt that he had the ability to compete with Old Master Yen. It was also because of this that Yi Xuanfei usually had a sense of superiority. She invited Chow Xiao to her house so that Chow Xiao could see the strength of her hometown. Huanghai City was a bustling modern city. Everything could dazzle outsiders. Yi Xuanfei hoped that Chow Xiao would fall in love with Huanghai City and be amazed by her family's background. She also hoped that he could personally feel her excellence and like her. Boys always wanted to find someone who could help their career as their other half. There was no doubt that Huanghai was a better place to start a business. Yi Xuanfei analyzed the situation carefully. Yen Ran was an outstanding member of the southern aristocratic families. She was the most outstanding girl in the southern region. It was understandable that Chow Xiao liked her. But the situation in the cultivation world was so complicated now. Yi Xuanfei was confident that her grandfather would succeed. Then Yen Ran would naturally be the sacrifice in the battle between the two factions. If Yen Ran had declined, then she would naturally become Chow Xiao's #1 target. The corners of Yi Xuanfei's lips curled up involuntarily. In her mind, the image of that alluring face, that perfect figure and that alluring voice appeared. Everything was like magic, sucking her in and making her unable to extricate herself. She had to take advantage of the hip-hop competition to get along well with Chow Xiao and make him like her. Yi Xuanfei never wanted superficial things. She wanted Chow Xiao's soul. In the coffee shop in front of Yen Ran's house, Chow Xiao asked Yen Ran out with great difficulty. The two of them prepared for dinner together. Chow Xiao realized that Yen Ran was busy again. Could it be that she had started to carry out missions again? Chow Xiao was very unhappy. He didn't like Yen Ran risking her life. But Yen Ran's mind was firm. She wasn't affected by Chow Xiao at all. She only told him that she would protect herself and then disappeared. There was no sound or image from her for a few days. Chow Xiao felt like a cat was scratching his heart. He had no choice but to think of ways to cultivate to pass the time. Today, after Yen Ran finished a mission, she finally had time to agree to have dinner with Chow Chow. But she still had to go out early in the morning and do some homework at night. For convenience, the two of them had to meet at the coffee shop in front of Yenran's house. Chow Chow hadn't seen her for a long time. He really wanted to hug her and kiss her if possible. This idea had been in Chow Zhao's mind for a long time, but he hadn't found a chance to carry it out. However, he was also worried that Yenran wouldn't agree. Sigh. Let's think about it at length. He was satisfied when he saw Yenran. Yenran, is your mission dangerous this time? You have to be careful. I don't want you to suffer like last time. Can I help you? Anyway, I have nothing to do at home. Why don't you bring me along? Chow Chow wanted to stick together with Yenran. How can I bring you along when I go on a mission? You're not part of our organization. Have you forgotten the demonic aura on your body? If you're not careful and others see through it, won't you be treated as a mole in our cultivation world and be removed? Yenran sighed. She knew that Chow Chow had a clingy personality, so she directly refused. Chow Chow thought about it and agreed. It seemed like he was born to be hated by others. He shrunk his neck. When he thought about how many cultivators would surround and attack him, he wished he could turn into an earthworm and burrow into the ground, never to be seen again. Then you have to be careful. I have to go to Huanghai to participate in the street dance competition. I won't be able to take care of you. You have to take good care of yourself. When I come back, I want to see you in perfect condition. Chow Chow continued to ramble. It wasn't easy to see Yenran. Chow Chow simply couldn't bear to let her go. He looked at the Yenran today. In his eyes, she was especially beautiful. He mustered up his courage and said, "Let's go on a date tonight." Yenran was stunned. She raised her head and looked at him. The little white bun on her head suddenly shyly covered her eyes. Chow Chow saw that Yenran misunderstood. "Ah. I'm not talking about that date. I'm asking if we can go watch a movie tonight?" After saying that, he took a deep breath. It was as if he had said a secret that he had hidden in his heart. Seeing Chow Zhao's rare nervous appearance, Yenran suddenly felt a little apologetic. She was usually too busy and simply didn't have time to accompany him. In fact, she also missed him a lot. Thus, she slightly nodded her head without leaving a trace. Chow Chow was blinded by this slight nod. The joy in his eyes lit up the entire cafe. Even the people in the booth felt this handsome young man's excitement. "Be quiet. Don't be so happy. People around us are looking at you." Yenran hurriedly stopped him and prepared to jump up and down. "Yenran, I'm just too happy. I'll take you to see a good film. It's just been released recently. You'll definitely like it. It's a romantic film. I heard that there are tears and laughter. It's very touching and incomparably sweet. It's just right for our current mood." In this way, Yenran was pulled away by Chow Chow. When they arrived at the cinema, she saw Chow Zhao's figure going to buy the tickets. She felt strange. "Why don't you buy it directly on your phone?" Chow Chow blinked and said innocently, "I can't buy so many tickets on my phone." Yenran was confused. "Why do we need to buy so many tickets?" Chow Chow blinked and didn't give her an answer. After buying the tickets, he went to buy 2 sets of popcorn and cola. 1 set for each of them, and walked into the screening room. After entering, Yenran found that Chow Chow had bought a couple's booth in the last row. It was a sofa for 2 people. There was no partition in the middle, so it was quite comfortable to sit on. Yenran was a little nervous for no reason. It was her first time watching a movie with a boy. In such a dark cinema, it was even a sofa for 2 people. Not only her, but Chow Zhao's heart almost jumped to his throat. He took the initiative and bought all the seats in the last 2 rows. He didn't dare to tell Yenran, for fear of being scolded. He now respected and loved Yenran. He was afraid that he would be criticized by Yenran. However, he also had a little evil intention. In this dim light, he thought that he could do something. He forcefully pulled Yenran to sit down and muttered to himself, "Why are there so few people watching this movie?" After a while, Some people finally came and took up most of the seats in the first few rows. However, no one came to sit in the last 2 rows. Yanran suddenly turned her head to look at Xiao Zhao's handsome side profile and asked him, "Did you buy the tickets in the last 2 rows?" At that moment, Xiao Zhao's eloquent mouth was like a clamp that choked his throat. He coughed violently a few times. In front of Yanran, he didn't have the ability to lie at all. However, because the dark light covered his blushing cheeks, he could only stammer, "I was afraid that someone would block us or disturb us by talking." Yanran looked at him deeply and didn't say anything. However, Xiao Xiao knew that he had passed this test. He suddenly felt relieved. It seemed that Yanran also agreed with him. The ecstasy in his heart drowned out his reason. He grabbed Yanran's little hand and said to her coquettishly, "Yanran, this is the first time I'm watching a movie with a girl. I'm a little nervous. Don't laugh at me." Yanran looked at Xiao Zhao's cute appearance and retracted her stern face. She burst out laughing. "Why are you so nervous?" Xiao Zhao's feelings for her were like a piece of white paper. On it, he used colorful brushes to draw all kinds of hearts, all kinds of ribbons, all kinds of fireworks. As long as it was colorful, it was Xiao Zhao's love for her. The two stopped talking and began to watch the movie. It was a moving romance film. The male and female leads started out because of some misunderstanding. The two of them saw each other as enemies. Later on, because of some things, they attracted each other and became good friends. In the process of going through hardships together, they gradually developed feelings for each other and finally became a couple. Xiao Xiao and Yanran were still eating popcorn, but gradually, they were attracted by the plot and gradually stopped what they were doing. The movie seemed to be about the two of them, from disliking each other to knowing each other and loving each other. Xiao Zhao's hand gradually tightened around Yanran's hand. The two of them got closer and closer, shoulder to shoulder, head to head. A kind of emotion faintly flowed between the two of them. When the two of them on the screen finally hugged and kissed each other, Xiao Zhao's hand suddenly tightened. He turned to look at Yanran, the starlight in his eyes like a sea of stars. Yanran looked at him just like that. Her clear eyes were filled with love, as though they could see through his soul. Their gazes were glued together like an invisible line, slowly pulling the two of them together. Chapter 147. The dim reflection of the big screen made Xiao Zhao's chest swell, as if there was a courage supporting him. There was only one thought in his mind, and then he asked softly, "Yanran, can I kiss you?" Yanran did not answer. She just looked at the hazy and timid young man in the dark. His respect for her had reached the extreme. Didn't she also like this perfect young man who seemed to come from the Milky Way? Xiao Xiao saw that Yanran did not answer and thought that she did not agree. At this time, the impulse in his heart had made his mouth dry and his head dizzy. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. Just as he was about to turn his head and digest the emotions he had just experienced, Yanran pulled the clothes on his chest and kissed him directly with her rose petal-like red lips. Xiao Xiao instantly ignited the fireworks in his head. His mind was blank, and even for a second, he did not know where to put his hands and feet. But it was also in the next second that a man's instinct allowed him to quickly take the initiative. His heart was ecstatic, and he no longer hid his love. He dedicated all the beauty of his lips and tongue. The two kissed until the sky turned dark. It was no longer important what was on the screen. The lines and background music had become notes to accompany them. The two were lying down in the booth. Yanran had long known about Xiao Zhao's passion, but Xiao Xiao was too crazy in the kiss. Xiao Xiao did not expect that the usually cold Yanran would have such a passionate side. Her small lips and small lilac tongue would make him crazy and lose his mind. The two of them did not know how to breathe well, and after a while, their faces were red. Xiao Xiao moved away slightly. Yanran thought that was the end, but she did not expect an even crazier kiss to come. Were all the people in the devil realm so crazy? Yanran's small rejection did not have any effect at all, so she simply let go of herself to respond. The scent of lavender enveloped Xiao Zhao's entire head. His head became more and more dizzy. He was even stimulated to release traces of devil chi, making his kiss even more enticing. He wanted the girl he liked to experience the ultimate happiness in this world. Yenran didn't know how long they had been kissing. Time had stopped, and the space had been isolated. Yenran felt that her whole body was sinking into the sofa, and Xiao Xiao was still on top of her. It was as if she had also gone crazy and been possessed. When the lights in the theater lit up, the two of them seemed to have returned to reality from an illusory time and space. Xiao Xiao sprung up from his seat. However, he used too much force and did not control the angle well. He hit the back of the seat in front of him and rolled under the seat. The audience, who were dispersing one after another, was intrigued by this muffled sound. Their eyes all drifted towards the source of the sound. Yenran also immediately sat up the moment Xiao Xiao sprung up. Everyone only saw the outline of a girl sitting in the middle of the last row. Other than the fact that her hair seemed to be disheveled, there was nothing unusual about her. Yenran, however, felt as if a small 1,000-watt sun was sweeping towards her. At this time, the light in the theater was not too bright, but it was many times brighter than before. Yenran had never been so nervous. At this time, her back was straight, her eyes were looking straight ahead, her fists were clenched at her side, and one of her feet was firmly stepping on Xiao Xiao, who was trying to climb up from under the seat. Xiao Xiao no longer struggled. He simply shrank under the seat and did not move. When the crowd had all left and only the two of them and the sweeping auntie were left in the theater, Yenron's wildly beating heart calmed down slightly. She retracted her foot and released Xiao Xiao's freedom. Xiao Xiao simply squatted by Yenron's feet. He rested his chin on her knee, curled up his body, and looked up at Yenran in amusement. "Hey, the theater is over. What are you two doing there?" The sweeping auntie's voice sounded. Xiao Xiao and Yenran recovered from this strange atmosphere. Xiao Xiao pulled Yenran with one hand and the two of them walked out of the theater. The light outside and the lights in the theater formed a strong contrast. It was as if everything had returned to the sunlight. At this time, Xiao Xiao noticed that Yenron's braids had long been messed up. Her lips were red and swollen, her face was slightly red, and her eyes were sparkling. Her gaze was like a peach blossom in full bloom. Xiao Xiao wasn't any better at the moment. In Yenron's eyes, Xiao Xiao's originally neat and handsome short hair seemed to have been crumpled into a chicken's nest by herself. Her peach-pink lips had become bright red at this time, as if there was a small wound that had been bitten open and was bleeding. And the originally deep gaze was now even more moving. It was as if there were 10,000 kinds of flirtatious feelings in it. With a blink of an eye, it was a kind of romantic. Yenron's heart seemed to skip a beat. This evildoer seemed to have been blessed by someone. And it seemed that the person who blessed him was herself. Yenron's originally red face became even redder. And Xiao Xiao looked at Yenran as if he was possessed. The more he looked, the more he liked her. This was his future crown princess. The two of them did not speak. You look at me, I look at you. Hand in hand, they walked in the mall. When they passed by an enormous mirror, Yenran saw herself in it. Yenran, who was always as calm as water, could not help but cry out. Then, she said to Xiao Xiao, "I'm going to the washroom." Before Xiao Xiao could reply, she disappeared in the blink of an eye. And Xiao Xiao turned his gaze to the mirror. When he saw his hairstyle that was like a chicken's nest and his wrinkled shirt that made people's hair stand up, he also quickly rushed to the washroom. The two of them did not have any creativity for the rest of the day. They just held hands and walked in a small park. But even such a simple walk on the road gave the two of them a different feeling. The touch between their hands became abnormally sensitive. Every unconscious bump between their arms seemed to become intentional. As the night fell, between the mottled shadows of the trees, their shadows were infinitely elongated by the street lights. From the original arm's width, they slowly overlapped until there was no gap between them. Xiao Xiao finally understood why couples on the roadside were always so lovey-dovey. Right now, he also wished that he could tie Yenran to his belt and hold her in his heart. Every touch between the two of them made his heart beat faster. Yenran, I'm going to Huanghai in a few days. Okay. What about you? I'm leaving early tomorrow morning to chase after the mastermind behind the previous mission. Xiao Xiao froze. You're not done with the previous incident? I wanted to chase after him myself. There has to be an explanation. Then aren't you going to be alone? Xiao Xiao immediately became anxious. That person is quite powerful. Last time, we suffered because of the formation. Because of that, this person is very dangerous. We can't let him go. Then, do you know about formations? I don't know, but I can use my spiritual power to blow it up. No, you can't blow it up most of the time. Just like last time, didn't I cause you a lot of trouble? Do you want to repeat the same mistake? There will always be a way. You have to believe me. I'm very powerful. Yenran raised her head and looked into Xiao Zhao's eyes confidently. Xiao Xiao automatically surrendered when he met her eyes. He pulled Yenran's head into his arms and sighed. You're so headstrong. I'm really worried. He took out the necklace on his chest and handed it to Yenran. The totem in this gem can break any formation in the world. It's a treasure of the demon world. I don't know why, but I have one here and Yi Xuanfei has one. It's said that mine is male and hers is female, so her formation should listen to the command of this one. Yenran, you must take it with you. If you encounter any danger, think of a way to break the formation or set it up. This doesn't require spiritual power, only incantations. Yenran was surprised. There was actually such a treasure. Yi Xuanfei actually had one too. Yi Xuanfei's gem is the one on her belly button? Yes, I saw it at first glance. What a coincidence. You and her are male and female? Yenran narrowed her eyes and her tone became dangerous. Xiao Xiao immediately raised his right hand and swore. It really has nothing to do with me. When I first saw it, I thought she stole it from our family. With that, he hugged Yenran's waist and swayed left and right coquettishly. Good Yenran, you still don't believe me? My mind is filled with you. Other women will always be a wisp of spiritual energy in my circle of friends. Yenran was very satisfied with this answer. Xiao Zhao's rustic words of love were still very pleasing to her heart. Come, I'll teach you how to use this totem. The two of them simply went to the back of the mountain together. Xiao Xiao seriously taught Yenran the incantation to use the totem. The totem was also very magical. As Xiao Zhao's thoughts turned, the golden totem automatically displayed the formation's image. Ever since the Demon Sky formation was repaired last time, Xiao Xiao took advantage of the time to cultivate to master the formation. The more he cultivated, the more he felt that the formation was magical. The hundreds of changes in the formation in the world were all concentrated in this totem. Mastering one would lead to all the other things. Xiao Xiao used 3 nights to master the entire formation. Only after he taught it to Yenran did he realize that his teacher Yenran's learning ability was simply heaven-defying and terrifying. He only needed to demonstrate all the changes once, and Yenran could immediately grasp it. Moreover, she at least learned half of it. As for those strange incantations, if it weren't for the little tadpoles helping him remember them, he probably wouldn't have been able to get around them. And Yenran was like the ancestor of the little tadpoles. As long as Xiao Xiao said it once, she would immediately remember it. Moreover, she could even tell Xiao Xiao the meaning of the incantation. It turned out that the hibiscus book she cultivated also had such words. It seemed that they were all treasures of the demon realm. Mastering one would lead to all the other things. He now worshipped Yenran wholeheartedly. The difference between a bad student and a top student was so obvious. Xiao Zhao's heart was filled with joy. He couldn't wait to announce to the world that this was his future crown prince consort. In one night, amidst the overlapping shadows of the back mountain, there was no ambiguity or whispering sweet nothings. There was only a handsome man and a beautiful woman who were constantly cultivating. Until dawn, Yenran finally finished learning all the formations. Xiao Xiao solemnly hung the necklace on Yenran's chest. Yenran, I know you have your mission. You are also willing to bear this. I won't break your wings, but when you spread your wings and fly high, I will be your strong shield. So, protect yourself well. Remember that there is always a Chow Chow waiting for you. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.